next week ago. This win at the campaign against Nottingham Forest, but they're really form as did very poor. In fact, they're away ranking on this because joint worst in the Premier League this season. It's asking.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to KUMB TV's Eyes Up Mother Brown. We are back for another Premier League special as West Ham United take on Brighton and Hove Albion at the Amex Stadium. And there I go talking to myself again. Where's the button? There we go. I am joined this afternoon by Rio. The two of us will be with you very, very shortly with kickoff just a couple of minutes away. Some team news for you. Mickey Antonio has not made the squad this afternoon. He is out with what has been reported as a slight knock. So that means that Danny Ings is, there we go. Danny Ings is taking his place in the starting 11, as was kind of expected anyway, I think, really. But the team you can just about see in the background behind me, if I move my big head, you can see it there. There's West Ham's team. West Ham lining up as follows. Areola in goal, Johnson and Emerson taking the fullback slots. Agard and Ogbonna at centre-half for the Hammers today. 4-3-3 formation, three in the middle. Rice, Paquetá and Souček forming that trio in the middle. And then the 4-3 of Bowen, Ings and Benrahma on the left-hand side. I'm delighted to be joined by my good friend and colleague, Rio, this afternoon for the journey. Rio, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, mate, not so bad, thank you. I'm woefully unprepared, so bear with me. It's going to be very shambolic. Sorry.
All right, no worries. I shall run through the Brighton team then while Rio is getting sorted over there. It is as follows: still in goal, Lamptey, Webster, Dunk, Solly March back in the team today. He's been absent for a little bit. Gross, McAllister, of course, World Cup star. Appearing for Brighton this afternoon, Matoma, Caicedo, Ferguson, and Estupinan, another player who's been out of action for a few weeks, back in the squad this afternoon. Running through West Ham subs, 8 substitutes today, the Hammers, 2 of which are goalkeepers. So Antonio, perhaps Rio, the 9th sub, we don't know. But either way, we're down to 8. We've only got 6 outfield players on the bench. We do have a good mix of players, though, covering all positions. Anang and Hegyi, Joseph Anang and Christian Hegyi, the 2 young goalkeepers on the bench today. But we've got Aaron Cresswell. Kurt Zuma also welcome back into the team or the squad this afternoon. He's on the bench midfield. We've got Flynn Downs, Manuel Lanzini, Pablo Fornals, and up front Scamacca is our substitute. So, Rio, we do. What do you make of that being a player? Do you think it might have been Antonio or someone else?
You would have thought it'd been Antonio. When they said he'd taken a slight knock, I didn't know if that was actually during the match, in training, or by one of our supporters after missing them 2 clear-cut chances the other night. But
yes. What about that? I suppose we should get the get that one out the way early. I mean, we were a little bit seething, weren't we, on Wednesday night? 2 great chances, could have put us 2-0 up at either opportunity, and we said at the time it'd come back to bite us in the backside, and it's exactly what happened.
Yeah, just like after what was a really promising opening hour, 65 minutes, to capitulate the way we did, it's bitterly disappointing, isn't it? And it's typically West Ham, but no matter how many times you go through it, it still hurts, and it probably even more the other day because, as I said the other night, May United are actually a decent side, and to get that close to going 2-0 up, putting the game virtually to bed, and getting a great result up in the cup competition where we could have advanced further had the draw gone our way. It's just gutting, but that's what we do, isn't it? We leave everyone full of disappointment. And it echoes our song, like my dreams, they fade and die.
Indeed. There's always next year, mate. There's always next year. I fear those years are beginning to run out a little bit now. The game has kicked off anyway at the Amex Stadium. West Ham are playing on our screens anyway from right to left. For those of you watching in black and white, West Ham playing in the dark colours. It's actually all claret shirts, claret shorts. Does anyone watch in black and white anymore? I'm sure there's someone somewhere who will be. All claret kit today for the Hammers. Brighton in their traditional kit, blue and white stripes, white socks, white stockings Does anyone call them stockings anymore? I'm not sure they do that either. We're just seeing Brighton attack on the right-hand side. And they've won a corner, I think, inside 90 seconds. Rio, what do you make of this team we've got out there today, and how do you see this one going prediction-wise?
It's pretty much as expected, to be honest. A little bit disappointed for Pablo Fornals, but I thought we had a decent hour. And when he got taken off, that's when our kind of wheels began to fall off a bit. Yeah. But you can understand why Moyes has gone to what he has done, and I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah, it looks like a good side. What are you predicting score-wise, mate, today?
I'm going for a draw because everyone knows our record at the Amex is nothing short of abysmal. So a draw would be nice, actually. Just continue the run of form where we haven't lost that many. And a point away from home against the bogey side, it's nothing to be sniffed at. No,
not at all. I'd be quite happy, I think, with a point today. If that's what we're able to do, we'd obviously keep things ticking over. And as you say, we've talked about this time and time again before, but it's been a long, long time since the Hammers have beat Brighton. Just checking the actual date. April 2012, just coming up to 11 years. We were young men then, Rio.
Yeah, I was in the prime of my life then. I was fit as anything. I could take on the world. I don't think I could take on a step at the minute.
No, time soon passes. There wasn't a corner, by the way. I can tell you that for Brighton. It was given as a goal kick. We're 3 minutes into the game, and nothing's really happened yet. West Ham in possession on the left-hand side. Paquetá trying to put the ball into Danny Ings, but it's dealt with pretty simply by a Brighton defender. So I'm thinking about Man City, because I was just about to say we've already had a game today, haven't we, Rio? I don't know if you caught any of it, Man City and Newcastle United earlier.
No, I didn't see any of it at all. I've been, otherwise occupied with other stuff, but saw the result come through, and it wasn't much of a surprise. But as I say that, there is a bit of a surprise elsewhere, where Bournemouth had taken earlier against Arsenal.
Wow, that is a shock, yeah. In the first minute, by the looks of it.
Yeah, very much so. I will kind of take a little bit of blame for that. No, it's not blame. I put Arsenal in a little bit of a bet. So if I lose, I'm happy. If I win, I'm disappointed because Arsenal won, but, bit of cash to sweeten the line.
Yes. Philip Billing, the goal scorer for Bournemouth. At the Emirates, scoring, as we said, inside the first minute, as Rio pointed out. West Ham just almost had a chance a few moments ago. We just saw still the goalkeeper play a short ball out. Thomas Souček actually pounced on it. It was a short pass about 20 yards into the centre of the pitch from the edge of the box, and Souček pounced, got a toe on it, put the ball into the centre. Danny Ings was only inches, maybe that's a bit generous, maybe a couple of metres away from getting to it before Steele came out and pounced on the ball again. But maybe some signs of West Ham's intentions there today, Rio, pushing it up a little bit. We saw it at Leeds, didn't we? Saw Skamaka get a goal from benefiting from pushing up high, that high press, as they call it now. Defending from the front, as they used to call it in the old days. And we saw it become quite effective on Wednesday, didn't we, at Old Trafford?
Very much so. And it's the way that we should be playing. The more that we sit back and try and soak up pressure and trying to hit on the counter, it doesn't work. You have to be a bit more offensive, a bit more kind of in the opposition's face, unsettle them first. Yeah. So it's a change attack that has paid dividends for us in the past, and it's been paying dividends when we've adopted it recently.
We've just seen Brighton look to break, and Glenn Johnson's not looking at the ball and should have cut that out. He would have done if he'd have kept an eye on it. In the end, the ball's gone through to Ferguson, the youngster who's managed to get a shot away. Comes to nothing. It's an easy one for Alphonse Areola, but a little bit of a warning for West Ham there. This young Ferguson lad, Rio, what do we make of him? He seems to have emerged, I think he's only 18 still, isn't he? He seems to have emerged into the Brighton team in the last couple of months, and looks like quite a talent.
Yeah, they've had a couple like that they've unearthed from places or they've brought through who have really done a good job. And to break into such a successful side at such a young age, it all bodes well for him, doesn't it? And it's good to see a little bit of young talent come through and, kind of force the issue for teams, even if it is against us.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of his namesake, the Everton, a little bit. Seems quite strong and bulky. Looks like he's going to be a big lad when he gets old. Now, we're just seeing Lucas Paquetá rolling around on the ground, holding his right knee. Didn't see anything in that. He lost the ball towards the corner flag. West Ham attacking on the right. I don't know if he perhaps twisted. Let's have another look. A bit of a clash on the knee, a little kick on the shin, still going. Another kick on the foot. Right, it looks like I think he's actually caught the knee of the Brighton defender accidentally, and he's sort of back on his feet. Lewis Dunk's picked him up. He's walking a little bit gingy, but he has a bit of a penchant for doing that, doesn't he, Rio? Our Brazilian superstar. We saw it the other night. We thought he might be, it was last week, wasn't it, Forrest, when he went over clutching his shoulder again, and we thought he might be out the game, but up and about. Maybe it's a Brazilian thing.
The more kind of dubious aspect of me thinks he's done the shoulder once or twice already. If he's looking for an exit clause, he's going to be reaching for that shoulder every 5 seconds.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, he was certainly made an incredible recovery from it last week against Forest. But anyway, West Ham with the ball. Souček plays it into Danny Ings, short, looking for Said Benrahma, but Brighton steal the ball. And it's been a bit like that, hasn't it? The opening 7 or 8 minutes. What do you think tactically, Ria, how these two teams are set up? Is it being a belter going forward? I mean, Brighton giving the ball away again. They've done that quite a few times already.
Yeah, I'm having trouble issues with my stream at the moment, as per usual. But yeah, what I've seen so far, as I said, we're set up a bit more in a kind of a pressing manner, which is good to see. It's just how we adapt, isn't it? Because Brighton often is something a little bit different to what Manchester United do. We might be expected to be a bit more on the front foot, but how we cope with that's a different matter.
Yes, indeed. And we've coped all right with it so far. I've just seen Naya Fagurd get his first intervention of the day, cutting out a long through ball from Brighton, but they're in possession at the moment, and West Ham sitting quite deep now. This is more like a regular West Ham defensive approach away from home. But again, we've managed to pick the pocket. Thomas Souček, not for the first time this afternoon, has won the ball. It's a poor pass. He's trying to find Said Benrahma, passes it behind him, and it goes straight out into touch. A lot of people, I've been quite critical of Thomas Souček's passing ability in recent months, saying that's one area that's really letting him down, and that's a pretty good indication of why, I guess. Yeah, no,
it's one thing that, as you say, does let him down, and particularly when you're playing alongside the likes of Paquetá, who is just such an adept passer of the ball. Yeah. It does show up some deficiencies there. Now, he's been in a lot better form the last 5 or 6 weeks, though, which is good to see. But just that one little aspect of his game, which, at his age as well, you can't see Evan improving that much.
No, indeed. But as you rightly say, he's definitely been a bit more influential over the last few weeks, getting back to kind of the peak Tommy Souček that we saw, when he came in halfway through the season a couple of years ago, got himself the Player of the Year award, didn't he, year before last. Let's hope he can get it back going. We're just coming up to 10 minutes gone in this game on my stream anyway. Rio, whereabouts are you on yours? Have you got it?
I've just lost number 2, so I'm desperately trying to find an alternative at the moment. Otherwise, I can fill you in on what's happening in the darts.
Okay, right. We cover all sorts here, not just the football. Keep you entertained and alert of all the latest news from around the sporting globe. We are over that 10-minute mark now. West Ham losing possession again. Brighton have it in their own half, and not much happening at the moment. It's pretty much a game being battled out in midfield right now. Not any shots since that Ferguson effort on 6 minutes, which was the only one so far. Brighton spraying a ball out onto the right-hand side now. See if they can do something. Solly March with the ball, drags inside, does really well, gets into the area. There's a chance for March. Good save by Alphonse Areola. Oh, he should never have been able to do that. Solly March back into the Brighton team today. Wiggled his way into the West Ham penalty area. Let's have a look at this. Denied the opportunity to pass the ball out onto the wing, cut inside, dribble 1, 2, 3. It's almost a Ricky Villa-esque dribble into the box for those of you that remember the 1981 FA Cup final. The Argentinian scored for Tottenham in that year. But fortunately for West Ham, this time the shot was straight at Areola, and he managed to palm it out, and it's gone out for a corner for Brighton. But worrying, Rio, I don't know if you saw that, but worrying just how easy it was for March to get into the box there.
Yeah, still not seen it at the moment. So many apologies to people. But Solly March is one of them players, isn't he? You don't think when you hear the name, you don't think, oh, he's someone who really imposes you or frightens you, but he seems to come at trumps far too often.
Yeah. Yeah, good little player. As you say, one of those that goes unannounced. And I think Brighton were absolutely delighted to get him back into the starting 11 today. As I said at the top of the show, he's been out for a little bit. We should say hello to our guest, shouldn't we, today, Rio? We haven't done it yet. Hello to Steve Palmer, CD, Andy Welsh, Hobo, Gore Edwards, Tony Mitchell, and Dan B, Gnome, Polaroid, all the usual crew. Good to see you guys. Hope you're all having a good weekend so far. Let's hope we can make it a little bit more exciting this afternoon. We have had I did ask at the top of the show for some predictions. Just run through a couple of those. CD going for a 1-0 West Ham win. Steve Palmer 2-1 West Ham win. Gore Edwards 1-1 draw. And Polaroid a 2-0 victory for us. So everyone's pretty confident. Rio looks pretty good this afternoon. That signals one thing, really.
If they hadn't been watching along with us for far too long, I'd said they're bandwagon jumpers. Did anyone predict it would take me 12 minutes to actually find a stream that works?
Are you in now? Have you got one?
I mean, I'm finally in. I've finally got
Excellent.
one that's lasted more than 25 seconds.
If you're on the same broadcast as me, you're just about to see that March dribble again that you missed. I don't know if you've had a chance to have a look at it yet, but
I'm 12 minutes in. It's according to this.
Oh, it'll be, yeah. So this is about 12:45, I think, on my stream that it's just showed it. So have a look when it pops up. Have a look and let us know what you think. Anyway, good to see you, George, on the stream. Andy Welsh going for a 1-1 draw. So more positivity. No one predicting a West Ham defeat today so far. So we'll have that. Rio looks like he's watching something interesting. Is that the Solly March dribble now? Have we finally got there?
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
What did you make of that? It's pretty shoddy defending from West Ham, starting with Paquetá on the edge of the box.
You would have thought Paquetá played a World Cup. He didn't have to sit back and admire Solly March's dribbling ability. No, he must have seen it from far better players than him.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a nice bit of skill. But we did make it far too easy.
Yeah. Now, where the game's been stopped, Neil Lamptey is down on the deck, the number 2. There's no West Ham player involved. I can tell you that much before anyone starts to panic. And it looks like this might be an enforced substitution. Lamptey is on the floor looking quite distressed. Now, of course, one thing we haven't pointed out yet that we did point out in the KUMB news section earlier this week, but the manager, De Zerbi, is not on the bench today, Rio. Banished to the stands for one game.
Yeah, he's actually, as you say, banished, misbehaved. I haven't seen the circumstances around it. It's been a hell of a week at the moment for me. So I've not actually quite like I said earlier, it's a little bit shambolic today because I've done no research. I've got nothing prepared. All I've seen is headlines all week. So, yeah, I just know that he's currently talking to his assistant, though. It must be because he keeps flicking back to him on the bench.
Yes.
On a mobile. Now, unless he's trying to put a bet on, which, given what's happened to Ivan Toney in recent weeks, I really wouldn't advise. He must be in touch with Zerbi.
It's a bit weird, that, isn't it? That they can be banned from the touchline, yet they're allowed to communicate via the wonder of modern technology. I mean, it seems like a bit of a pointless decision, that, doesn't it? If they can be there, in not in person, but effectively anyway.
It even lacks the imagination what Mourinho did in the past, where he used to get smuggled in laundry baskets. This is just clearly obvious, lacking imagination. Yeah, must do better. Technology's not improved the game in this respect, does it?
It certainly hasn't. It certainly hasn't. We can tell you, after a couple of minutes of deliberation, Lamptey has reluctantly made his way to the sidelines and he's been replaced by Veltman. So an early change enforced for the home side there. Good news, hopefully, for West Ham. Don't know much about Veltman. The usual professional research that Rio was just referring to there. But we know we are 16 minutes gone. It's 0-0 and Brighton have had a change enforced already. Just looking back at it, it looked like he maybe clipped Lucas Paquetá's foot in a challenge in the West Ham area a few moments before, but I'm sure there was an awful lot in it, so I don't really
No.
know what it was, but that's what it suggested, Rio, anyway.
It just looked like a wild swing of the football Paquetá, and I don't know if just the breeze from that wild swing has knocked him sideways, and he's fallen awkwardly. It looked be no contact. It's just Lucas must have a hell of a swing on him, because he's gone down on absolute sack and he's not recovered.
Bad news, I'm afraid. Looks like Brighton have been awarded a penalty. Referee today, Stuart Atwell, no hesitation. Ben Johnson again got caught out the wrong side of the ball. Now let's have another look at this. I mean, I'm sure VAR will investigate, but it looked like a very, very slight touch. But I think it's Jared Bowen. And let's have a look. Yeah, Johnson's called it out. Well, Bowen's kind of come across the Brighton player. It's one of those 20 years ago. It's Matoma, the player, who's gone into the box. Bowen's coming in from the wrong side. It's kind of lent into him with his shoulder. It's not enough to it's not a penalty, in any stretch of the imagination. But I think it's going to be one of those where VAR, Rio, will probably deem it's not sufficiently a poor decision to overrule it. And I think that's going to stand.
Yeah, as you say, it's incredibly poor defending by Ben Johnson initially. He just lets a cross completely evade him. But yeah, it's very soft. If this gets given, it's incredibly soft. I can see why it will be, though. I've just looking at the replay. Jared has got his hand upon the player. It's enough to give it for me. It's soft, but it's going to get given, surely.
Well, it is given, and it's in the back of the net. Brighton have scored. Brighton have taken the lead. I'm rather disappointed to inform you it's McAllister, the number 10, who's converted the spot kick, and that is one of the softest penalties you're ever going to see given at this level. But that's football these days, and West Ham are 1-0 down after 18 minutes, Rio.
Yeah, criminal bit of defending there by Ben Johnson, who I thought played really, really well on Wednesday. And but it's just naive, isn't it? He's lost the flight of the ball. Bowen's come in, try and pick up the pieces, and he's made, a naive error of actually laying finger on the player. So, as you say, modern era football, any footballer who's getting paid X amount of pounds a week is going to go down and make things easy for the referee. And combination of that and stupid defending, and we're in trouble.
Once again, West Ham find themselves behind. McAllister converting the penalty, put into the top left-hand corner. Then Alphonse Areola gets in the right way, but it's not good enough to prevent what was a very well taken penalty by McAllister, and West Ham are a goal down. Brighton sending the ball over the top, having won it instantly from the restart, and Angelo Bonner had to do very well to just put it out into touch. The Hammers nearly caught out for a second time in just a minute. Now Declan Rice is on the deck, clutching his right eye. Now, not quite sure what's going on here. Don't know if he's got a bit of dirt in his eye or whether he's been caught there. I think it's just a bit of dirt or something in the eye, because the two medical chaps are just checking his right eye right now. But disappointing couple of minutes for West Ham, Rio. And yeah, as I say, here we are finding ourselves a goal behind yet again, and having to come back from the brink.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme at the moment, isn't it? We did it against Chelsea, but we was awful from the first 15, 20 minutes there. We was awful the first 10 minutes against Newcastle. And in our current predicament, you really can't be going a goal down and trying to fight your way back into games. But yeah, it's just awful defending. I'll just look at another replay of it.
Yeah,
it's soft. And we don't make teams earn their goals. We often gift them to them. And it's another example of that.
Brighton attacking again on the right-hand side. No, they want a throw-in. Nyfegerd stopping the ball from coming into the box, closing down March's attempted cross and sending it out for a throw-in. But yeah, very, very disappointing from a West Ham perspective. And Johnson, it's the second, and we saw him do it a couple of minutes before that as well, didn't we, Rio? Just completely missed or misjudged the path of the ball, and he did it a second time, and it's cost us there. But I'm not quite sure what happened there. And it's a shame really, because we all know Johnson's a talented lad, but just keeps making these errors every now and again, and the consistency isn't there, is it, for a defender that's really needed, or the kind of consistency you need to play at this level?
Yeah, he just doesn't seem to push on. He doesn't seem to learn. Like I said, I'm probably been hypercritical in the past of him.
Yeah.
But this just kind of heightens it for me. You know, I don't think he's good enough going forward with the ball. I don't think in times like this he's. I often think he's probably was the third or fourth best right back in the club, and now Harrison Ashby's gone. He's cemented his place as the third best at least.
Well, he's just done pretty well. He actually had the ball slip between his legs. I think it's Estupian who's put the ball between his legs, and there's a chase down towards the corner flag, and Johnson has corrected himself, got back up, and managed to put the ball out for a corner, which we're just waiting to be taken. So it would appear that Brighton, anyway, see him as some kind of weak link out there this afternoon, because they've been attacking. The goal came from that side. They've been attacking that area quite frequently. But West Ham, unfortunately, not shown anything so far today. Let's just wait for this corner to come across. It's from West Ham's left. Here it comes now, delivered to the edge of the 6-yard box. Tommy Souček's up, gets a header on it. West Ham trying to clear their lines, haven't quite done it yet, but here's a chance for them to get away. We've seen nothing from halfway through the first half now, Rio. West Ham, you know, we've gone back to this kind of defensive shell that we thought maybe we'd seen the last of following the 2 games against Man United and Nottingham Forest, but here we are again. Yeah,
if we've reverted back to type. As you say, you would have thought the confidence flowing from the Forest game, even despite the poor outcome on the Wednesday night, there was enough there in that first hour to suggest that the more offensive kind of nature we were taking would bear a lot of fruit and bring a lot of confidence. But we've just reverted to type again, and now we look uncomfortable. We're we're consistently recycling the ball for Brighton to just launch attack after attack. There's been errors from Paquetá, there's been errors from Johnson, Bowen. It's like, take your pick. Who's going to make the next mistake?
Well, here's Lucas Paquetá trying to drive him through the box. Bowen's through. Come on, Jared. Come on, son. Oh, Bowen's seen the shot saved by Steele. Should have scored. He only had the goalkeeper to beat. It was a good attack from West Ham on that occasion. It was all a bit. Didn't seem to be a lot of planning in it. Rice sort of hammered the ball into the ground to get it clear, and it fell kindly to West Ham. Paquetá was away. Well, here he is again, the Brazilian, on the edge of the box, plays it in to Souček. Oh, it's a good save from Steele, but it's still in the mix. Side Ben Rama inside the box, looking to get a crossing, goes to the left, turns back, cuts back on himself, plays it back to the edge of the box. It's Emerson chips a little lofted pass in, and it's a terrible cross. But 2 really good opportunities for West Ham there. Rio, and goalkeeper Steele saving Brighton and keeping them ahead. Yeah,
it was a bit of a shock before the start of the game that still actually started the game rather than Sanchez. But I've just seen the first chance where the save from Bowen, and he's done everything you'd expect from a keeper. You can see the player bearing down on him. He's trying to make himself as big as possible, and he's forced it away. Just seen the second one, and again, a great save. So, you know, I don't know what Sanchez has done, but in still, they've found someone who's going to have an actual worldie today by the look of it.
Yes, indeed. Big chance for West Ham. I mean, it kind of well timed, because we were just saying how poor we'd been up until that point, but that's more like the West Ham we saw last Wednesday, especially quick on the counter. Now we've got Solly Marshes down for Brighton on the floor, and he's going to need treatment. The game's going to be stopped. They're going to kick the ball into touch, so Marsh can receive treatment. So a second, they've already lost Lamptey to injury in the 16th minute, and Marsh is down now, clutching, looks like his right ankle by the looks of it. But just time to reflect on what we've seen so far, Rio. You know, West Ham really not at the races for the opening 20 minutes, but just showing signs there in the last couple of minutes that we might still be in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I've only really caught the last 15 minutes of, and the first 13 of those were absolutely dreadful. We couldn't string 2-3 passes together. We was making error after error. Eventually, 2 bad ones, which led to the goal. But yeah, the last couple of minutes, there's seen something of a bit of a resurgence. And as you said, the first actual part of that play was just built up from a nothing ball, just Rice trying to clear his lines, but Paquetá, a little bit of skill, a little bit of nice control, cleared it through, got the ball through to Bowen, who, you know, again, in a one-on-one situation, you expect our players to do better. It's proved costly. And then Souček's forced another good save from Stewart there. So now the seeds of revival are hopefully there. If March is forced off here, that would also be a massive bonus for us because, as you said, he's a tidy player, and but he always seems to have a really good game against us.
Yeah, and he doesn't look good at all. I mean, we just saw a recap of what happened there. We tried to pass the ball and actually stubbed his foot straight into the ground. It's one of those, anyone who's played a bit of football over the years knows can be quite painful if you misjudge that and put your foot through the turf instead of the ball. And I don't think he's going to be able to continue by the looks of him. He's limped off very, very gingerly. I'm not saying that. I think he might be coming back on, but it certainly doesn't look 100%. So maybe it's just a question of Brighton just going to give it a couple of minutes to see how it goes in March. But anyway, we are 27 minutes in. It's Brighton, Hove Albion 1, West Ham United, Neil McAllister, the only goal of the game so far, scoring a penalty for the home side, which was awarded for a foul by Mitoma, on Mitoma by Jared Bowen a few moments earlier. VAR check decided that it was a legitimate decision. And we're just seeing a possession stat in the top left of our screen on my broadcast, which tells us that Brighton have had 70% possession so far, Rio, to West Ham's 30, which I guess pretty much says, what we are, where we are right now.
Yeah, it's very much indicative of what I've seen. We couldn't really string anything together, and everything was kind of loose in a passing. Plicketine made a really bad error, one of his passes, which led to that part where you said where Johnson got nutmegged. And if our shining light in terms of ball possession, ball retention and creativity is making errors like that, it doesn't bode well for the rest of them.
Indeed, it doesn't. Indeed. There's been another goal in the Premier League, one more in the match between Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. It's an own goal this time. Joachim Andersen putting the ball into his own net for Palace, which means Villa lead 1-0. The only other goal apart from this match so far, the one Rio brought you earlier on, Bournemouth scoring in the first minute at Arsenal. They still lead. Yeah, they seem to pull out the odd amazing result, don't they? Out the hat, Bournemouth. Elsewhere, it's Wolves, Tottenham 0-0. Chelsea leads 0-0. What do you make of that one? I mean, in terms of the two teams with pretty much the worst Premier League form, that's got to be the most nailed on 0-0 for a long time, is it, Rio? That Chelsea Leeds game, the way things are going.
Yeah, I mean, you think for humour's sake, you'd hope Chelsea capitulate there and manage to let in the last minute goal. I just think they'll prevail. Leeds are awful. Chelsea are awful. Both teams to disappear out of existence, but you can just see something happening.
Well, we've just seen something happening, and West Ham have been quite fortunate, actually. Syed Benrahma decided to go on a little dribble, had the ball taken away from him. I think it was a fair challenge, but referee Atwell disagreed after much complaining from the Algerian, and he's given West Ham a free kick. I think we're a bit fortunate to get that one because I don't think that's a foul at all. I think the ball's been taken off him by McAllister. Just running through our officials for the day very quickly. Stuart Atwell, as we mentioned, is the referee today, assisted by Darren Cann and James Mannering. On the sidelines, Jeff Eltringham, not a name I'm familiar with, is our fourth official today. And in the VAR studio, we've got Peter Banks, who is assisted by Nick Hopton. That's your refereeing and officials team for this afternoon as we approach the half-hour mark. West Ham just threading that free kick into the box from the centre circle, the one that resulted from the Benrahma challenge, but it's easily dealt with by Brighton. Comes to nothing, and the home side back in possession in West Ham's half. Exactly 30 minutes on the clock, Rio. Brighton 1, West Ham 1. Not going well so far.
Nah. There's not a lot really to add apart from that. It's just, apart from a 90-second spell, we've been largely woeful, and it's sort of our own making. You just hope we can, if we don't manage to get back into the game in this half, harsh words are said at half time because, it's just simply not good enough. I know with the result last week probably might have flattered us a little bit because we weren't fantastic about that game. There was still room for improvement in that first half, but where you can see the whole kind of stadium lift and the players' mood lift once we got the first couple of goals, we just reverted to type again, and it's not comfortable viewing at the moment.
Yes, not been very enjoyable from those of us from a claret and blue persuasion. West Ham have just had a little foray into the Brighton box. Paquetá tried to play Ings in. It was a good defensive challenge by Webster that put the ball out for a corner. The resulting corner, unfortunately, West Ham's first of the game, easily dealt with by the Brighton defence. Might have been Webster again, actually, who cleared the ball with a header. But West Ham back in possession with Alphonse Areola at the other end of the field. So at least we can say for the last 90 seconds, West Ham have had the ball. And I say that just as Areola kicks it straight to an opponent, and Brighton back in possession now. Let's have a look at some of the comments, Rio, on the it did make me laugh. I meant to mention this a few minutes ago. George Sutherland suggested a 2-0 West Ham win a few seconds before Brighton scored. And he's duly changed his prediction to a 2-1 win now. So I'd like to see the confidence George sticks with us, sticking with it. Richard Van says, same old story, soft giveaway, talking about the goal. And Dan B suggesting we need new fullbacks. It's been like that for years. And Hobo getting a little bit frustrated, like one or two of you, I'm sure, also watching the game with us this afternoon. He says, note to West Ham players, please pass to someone in claret kits. I'm not a fan of this all claret kit. I've got to say, it's. I'm not sure we've ever done really well with it. I've just got a vague memory of us having disappointing games wearing all claret before.
Yeah, I'm certainly not a fan. I'm not even a fan of the new kind of regime over the last few years where we wear blue shorts at home. For me, it's claret shirt, white shorts, white socks, and that's how it should be. And away from home, you have your change strip and the matching ensemble, not giving it more claret. It's not right.
Too much, isn't it? Too much. We've just seen Said Benrahma give the ball away, not for the first time this afternoon. Tried to do a little bit too much. Could have played it simple. It was a nice little movement from West Ham. 3 or 4 decent passes. Ended up with Benrahma on the halfway line. He tried to do too much. Tried to beat 2 players, and it was never on. And conceded possession, and just a little bit frustrating from our Algerian winger there today. 33 minutes gone, still Brighton and Hove Albion 1, West Ham United 0. Brighton playing the ball out to the left. Bowen closes down the cross, doesn't do a very good job of it because the cross comes in, but it's dealt with well by Knife Agurd, but only back as far as a Brighton player as they retain possession around the halfway line. Do you think, Rio, that there's a slight concern that we might have got a little bit too confident as a result of that win last week? Maybe thought that we're, not in as much danger as we perhaps are?
I think this is the thing with this particular relegation battle this year. One result lifts you up a couple of places and maybe brings that sense of complacency back in a little bit. But today, I don't know whether that's a factor or we're just not working hard enough out there. I'm just watching what I'm seeing at the moment. There's players standing very static. How often have we actually troubled Brighton? Apart from that one little spell when we had 2 chances in the spell of 30 seconds, I don't think we've actually tested the keeper at all. And players are standing too still. They're not working hard enough. There's not enough movement, and we're very slack in our passing. And it's a recipe for disaster. It's actually lucky that Brighton haven't really kind of exerted any real pressure themselves much. They've had a few opportunities, but nothing of any real substance.
No, it's a good point. I mean, I was slightly concerned when they got their first goal. They had that break immediately after. It looked like they had the bit between their teeth, but they've sort of, settled into their shell a little bit since as well. And neither team's really doing enough to threaten. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, apart from those 2 chances you mentioned, we've not threatened Steele at all, have we? We've really not given him or the Brighton defence anything to think about so far this afternoon. So some harsh words needed, I think, at half-time from David Moyes and his team if West Ham are going to get back into this game. But just looking at the Premier League table as it stands, West Ham would, as things stand, drop a place if scores were to remain as they are, because Bournemouth are, of course, winning 1-0 Arsenal. I'm not sure any of us really expect Bournemouth to hold on and win that, but we saw Southampton win at Chelsea the other day, and 1 or 2 other really weird rogue results. So you never know. But yeah, as things stand, West Ham back to 17th in the table and only out of the relegation zone on goal difference, if that remains the case. So if there's any sort of overconfidence, Rio, as a result of that win last week, and what was a decent performance on Wednesday. It's time they got that out of the system, isn't it? And especially by half time, and give this second half a real go anyway.
Yeah, it's like, Brighton, as we said, they're not had to get out of first gear because they can quite easily deal with us because we're offering very little, if anything. They've seemed to kind of nullify. They know we're going to go through Piquet all the time, and they're getting quickly onto him. But they don't have to do much because we're poor. We're very poor. We're not making Brighton work at all. We're just sitting back and watching him ping the ball around and hoping we don't make an error that leads to a goal.
We've just seen Brighton target that left flank again, trying to put the ball over Johnson's head for Mitoma to race onto. It seems to be something there that unfortunately West Ham got away with it a little bit. Johnson looked like he was playing the ball out for a corner and it managed to clip the back of Mitoma's heels and West Ham got a goal kick. But certainly something that Brighton have targeted this afternoon now. Callum asking who's had the most corners. It's 2-1 to Brighton at the moment. Brighton 2 corners, West Ham 1 so far. In terms of possession, Brighton have extended that advantage, Rio, from 70-30 to 73-27. So, it's not good from a West Ham perspective. Haven't had the opportunity to get our foot on the ball an awful lot today.
No, not at all. And I'm surprised it's as high as 27 because, I said that little kind of purple patch we had. Apart from that, Brighton just passing the ball around at will. They're just eking out time at the back, knocking the ball into midfield, passing it back again. They can afford to do it because we're not working hard enough to win the ball back.
No, we certainly aren't. We've just a good example of that again is West Ham conceding possession. Brighton now with the ball, marched with the ball, seems to have recovered. Delivers a very dangerous ball into the box from the right-hand side of the penalty area. It's curling towards goal, towards the far left-hand side from where Mitoma once again is coming in, trying to get in behind a Gerd. I think, is it a Gerd or is it Johnson? It might be Johnson. Let's have another look at this. I think it's Johnson who deals with it. The ball comes in and actually Johnson does really well. I mean, it's a bit of a hacked clearance. It goes behind for a corner. But he had to make the challenge because Mitoma was coming in at the back post there, and that would almost certainly have been a second goal for Brighton. But they have a third corner of the afternoon. So let's just see what happens here. 38 minutes on the clock. Corner delivered from the right-hand side. Cleared this time by Tommy Souček behind for another Brighton corner. So, Callum, if you're keeping tabs, that's 4 now for Brighton. Just doubled their tally in the space of a few seconds. Let's just see what happens with this one again. Brighton only one man in the 6-yard box. The rest lining up. It's Pascal Gross who's going to take the corner. Puts the right hand up, delivers to the near post. This time it's out by Paquetá to the edge of the box. The shot comes in, and West Ham have. I'm not quite sure what happened there. We thought the ball was going out, but it landed at the feet of a Brighton player about 8 yards from goal, and everyone had to scurry back. West Ham have won a free kick anyway. It's free kick conceded by Brighton just outside West Ham's penalty area. 39 minutes gone. Still 1-0 to Brighton. Rio, how are we doing elsewhere? Any other goals being scored in the Premier League yet this afternoon? Or what's the darts? What's happening in the darts as well?
Bang on cue to bring up the results in the darts earlier. Gerwyn Price got knocked out in the fifth round of the UK Open earlier on. And Michael van Gerwen had a very tough task, but he won 10-6. And world champion Michael Smith lost 10-9 to Luke Humphries.
There you go. Latest results from the darts for you there. Which competition is this, Rio?
It's the UK Open, which is probably the most interesting one, really, because it's done. Normally, darts tournaments are seeded, so you hope to get the best players down to the last knock-ins. Yeah. But this is done very much like the FA Cup. All the names are going in the hat, and you could draw anyone at random. So, yeah, you normally get a little bit of excitement now. So
hence 1 or 2 of the big names going out relatively early on.
Yeah. In the Premiership, there's no further update on scores. Elsewhere, just going through the leagues, there's not a lot of excitement going on at all. So much I'm looking straight into the non-league because that's the most exciting league at the moment. And Dagenham are losing 1-0 at home. Notts County are losing 1-0 away to Bromley. So any fans of Dagenham will be suffering once more. And those who want to see Notts County get the oldest club formerly the oldest club in the league, get back into the full time. They've had a bit of a knock in the last couple of weeks. So Wrexham look in pole position.
Yeah. In terms of this particular game, West Ham's possession share, which we seem to be concentrating on, has gone down even more. We're now down to 25% in the first half, 75-25 in Brighton's favour. Sorry, I briefly stopped there because there was a ball coming from the right-hand side. Solly March again doing really, really well to keep the ball in. Played it inside. It was played across goal. Dangerous-looking ball, but fortunately for West Ham, there was no one there, bar Jared Bowen, to get the ball clear. But got to say, this is one of my bugbears about the Hammers, Rio, in recent weeks. It's just, you don't see when the ball when a poor ball comes in like that, we pick the ball up rather than looking to play it out, find a player. It's just you've seen it so many times in recent weeks. The players are just hoofing the ball clear. It's just it's almost like panic stations, like the sort of thing you'd understand to see from a team who's struggling like we are at the moment. Seems to be no attempt to try and get a foot on the ball, calm things down for a bit. It's just get the ball clear at any opportunity. And we've seen it time and time again. Didn't see it so much in the last two games. Managed to play a bit more football, but here we are again, kind of reverting to it. And I'm mentioning that because we're talking about the 75-25 possession split at the moment, and that's pretty much the main reason why we're not getting the foot on the ball, because we're not trying to hold on to it at the moment. Yeah,
everything, as you say, it's completely hoofing away. There's no attempt to play a little bit of football. I can understand it in some respects because we're on a relegation battle. You want to clear your lines, but the more you just launch it forward aimlessly with no real intent, the more likely it is to come back. We've got no one up top. Antonio, when he has been fit, he battles manfully, but even he's not great at ball retention and just bringing other players into the game. With Danny Ings up front, we're lacking a bit of height and muscle there. So naturally, Brighton are getting the ball back and just launching attack after attack after attack. Although it's in a much slower manner than you would expect because they're just casually knocking the ball around. They're just eking out chances rather than going for it. I think if they'd done any kind of real attacking threat themselves, they would have been 3 or 4 up here because we're just giving the ball away at will and inviting it on.
Yep, absolutely. I have been. Saying that, though, we've just seen a West Ham counter-attack. Emerson doing really well with a burst down the left flank, tried to play Paquetá, but it was intercepted and put out for a second West Ham corner. First corner on the left-hand side, West Ham second of the day. Brighton had 4. Callum, I know you're keeping tabs on it. I'm not sure West Ham are going to beat Brighton in the first half. Anyway, 4-2 down with a minute to go. So it looks like that part of your bet's safe anyway. Let's see what Declan Rice can do with this. It's a right foot. So it's going to be an in-swinger from the left-hand side. Here it comes. Dangerous looking ball in. It's come off a Brighton head, I think, and it's going to be a corner on the other side. So I presume Jared Bowie. Yeah, indeed, there goes the right-sided forward out towards the corner flag to take this one. So maybe Callum, maybe that isn't as safe as I thought it would be. It's West Ham's third corner, 4-3 corners to Brighton now. Let's see what Bowen can do with this. West Ham, of course, haven't been threatening at all from set pieces this season, but let's hope we can change that here with 30 seconds of normal time left in the first half. Corner comes over. It's too close to the goalkeeper and heads out. And Brighton now got the chance to counter. And it's Mitoma again, who's been very, very dangerous so far with the ball on the halfway line. Plays it in, but Ben Johnson does well to come across and meet the ball, but inexplicably just plays the ball straight into touch when he's got an easy 5-yard pass on to Emerson, which kind of, once again, is pretty indicative of the way West Ham have performed in this first half. We've got 3 minutes added on at the end of the first half, due mainly to those injuries to March and to Lamptey, which required a bit of attention. But talking about Danny Ings, you mentioned Danny Ings there, Ria. I mean, I think if Antonio put in that sort of performance so far today, he'd be getting pelters, wouldn't he, by now? I mean, I think I've only seen Danny Ings touch the ball once in the entire half so far.
Yeah, we know he's a different style of striker. And this is possibly why David Moyes has been a little bit reluctant to use him from the word go, because we all know that he likes to play with a big physical striker up front who's bulky, can hold the ball up, bring others into play. We've seen it far too often down the years that we buy strikers without no real knowledge of how to utilise them to their best abilities. And I just feel like Danny Ings is going to be one of them players, and particularly while David Moyes is in charge, he's not going to get a good run of opportunities. We're not going to play to the best style that suits his abilities.
Yeah, I mean, certainly doesn't look like a player who's used to playing that isolated role, does he? Which Mickey Antonio, who's done it for some time, has of course struggled with for a long time. In case you weren't aware, you're catching the stream late, joining us late. Mickey Antonio out of the squad today with a slight knock. That's all we know. Don't know anything more about it. Don't know exactly when it happened, whether it was in training or before the game. But we do know that West Ham have only named 8 subs, so it's quite possible that that was the case. But anyway, we're now into added on time. At the end of the first half, we're just come back to the final of the 3 minutes added on. Brighton sensibly, perhaps, given that they've got this 1 goal advantage, just playing the ball around, just holding on to the ball for the final few seconds of this half. Although goalkeeper still just makes a bit of a mistake, takes his after ball and it runs under his foot. Fortunately for him, it's a very light pass and he doesn't have to move more than 2 or 3 steps to retrieve the ball and start another attack. But that's it. We're in the final minute now of the 3 added on. West Ham have a throw in their own half, about 15 yards from the centre circle on West Ham's right-hand side. Ben Johnson takes it, plays it short, and it's now with Nigel Gerd, who plays it across to Angelo Ogbonna. And we're just pretty much now waiting for the half-time whistle to go, at which point West Ham will hopefully regroup and try and figure out how we can get a little bit closer to Brighton, because we really haven't threatened them so far in this half. We are going to have one more chance by the looks of it, because West Ham have a throw. Pretty poor clearance from Jason Steele. Out into touch on West Ham's left, about 20 yards from the goal line, byline. And it's with Emerson. But that's a poor ball. Plays it back to Ogbonna, who plays it down the line, and it's given away. Although Brighton play it straight into touch. So 5 seconds left. Can West Ham do something with this last move? Emerson with the ball. Plays it short to Paquetá. Back to Emerson. Need to go in the box. But no, the referee's going to blow his whistle. Bang on. 48 minutes, and that's half time from the Amex Stadium. It's Brighton and Hove Albion 1, West Ham United 0. The only goal of the half coming after 18 minutes. McAllister putting his penalty into the top left-hand corner. Alphonse Areola guessing the right way, but couldn't quite get to it. And that's where we stand at half time. Rio, what's your assessment of what we've seen there in that opening 48 minutes?
Simply not good enough. We're lacking cohesion. We're lacking intent. We're lacking work rate. We're lacking ability. Brighton have clearly targeted a couple of key areas in our team. They've exploited them quite well so far. But we've shown nothing that a team which is in the relegation battle should be showing. There's not enough work rate out there. There's not enough fight. There's not enough heart. What we're lacking really is it's a cohesive form of play. We started pressing up quite high, and that seemed to pay dividends early on in the proceedings. But that seems to have gone by, and we're just religiously giving the ball back to Brighton at will for them to kind of just pass the ball around at will at ease. You know, we're quite lucky that Brighton haven't really offered as much as they really should have done. I think a more clinical and a better side would have had us like 3 or 4 down by now, because now we're just offering nothing. We're just doing the typical West Ham thing of giving the ball away and wondering why it's coming back at us time and time again. Now, and someone with an opponent with a more clinical striker, a more kind of dynamic side of play would have had us 2 or 3 down at least by now.
You mentioned the passing, the way that Brighton were passing the ball around at will in their first half. I've got a lovely stat for you here, Rio. West Ham managed, get this, it's believed to be a new Premier League low. No, that remains to be confirmed. West Ham made, actually have a guess. How many passes do you think West Ham made in that first half?
If it's more than 70, I'll be shocked.
Do you know, actually, I'm going to stop you there. Because that is pretty much bang on. 69. West Ham made 69 passes in 48 first half minutes. So that's what's that? 1 1/4, 1 1/3 passes every 60 seconds. that's how. Want to have a little guess how many Brighton have made, Rio? In contrast,
Well, since they had like nearly, was it 75% possession?
yeah, I was just going to come to that. 76.
So let me think. So we've had 70. So times 4, times 3, times 210. I'd go about 280.
No, keep going. Long way out.
Oh, yeah, 350.
Bang on, exactly that. 350. So yeah, West Ham 69 passes in the first half. Brighton 350 is correctly guessed on both occasions, rather brilliantly actually by Rio. But yeah, the possession stat 76% to Brighton, 24% to West Ham, which is absolutely dreadful. You know, we know that having possession of the football doesn't necessarily equate to a win. But it certainly doesn't help because, you know, as I've said before, you can't score a goal if you haven't got the ball. 76-24. The rest of the stats are quite even, actually. Brighton 4 shots, 3 on target. West Ham 3 shots, 2 on target. It's not a lot between the teams there. 4 corners. This one for Callum, who I should also thank for the donation. Thank you for that, Callum. 4 corners to Brighton, 3 to West Ham. So you've got your bet there, buddy. You're safe. Fouls the same ratio. 4 committed by Brighton, 3 by West Ham. But 24% possession, Rio. I mean, we don't often see West Ham have the greater, even against Forest. I think it was 51-49 in Forest's favour, I believe. But I mean, that's pretty dreadful, isn't it? 76-24.
Yeah, it's horrendous. And we're not playing the top side, are we? We're playing a very functional Brighton side, a side that probably punches above their weight. But we're not playing the likes of De Bruyne. We're not playing the likes of Bruno Fernandes, who can knock the ball around at will. We're playing up against McAllister and Solly March. You know, like I said, it's simply not good enough, and we're not working hard enough to get the ball back. We're not. There's no work rate out there at all. Everyone's just standing back, letting Brighton pass at will. And when we do have the ball, which hasn't been very often, as we can quite evident by visuals and stats there, we're not doing enough with it, and it's just everything's so lackadaisical and as if it's a kind of a training session almost, like defence v attack.
Yeah,
but also the instruction.
We said that over the months as well.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
but you're absolutely right. It's exactly what it seems like. We'll come back to our game in just a bit. We're going to have a quick look at what's happening elsewhere in the Premier League today. There was a match earlier on. Manchester City beat Newcastle United by 2-0 to keep the pressure on Arsenal at the top of the table, just 2 points in it. Of course, Arsenal were expecting to extend their lead once again to 5 points because they're at home to Bournemouth this afternoon. But one hasn't quite gone to expectations, Rio, has it? It's half time and Bournemouth still lead by that first minute goal.
Yeah. Now, earlier in the season, you would have said Bournemouth were playing quite nice football. They strung a really good sequence of results together, which gave Gary O'Neill his job. But since then, they've been absolutely woeful, to be honest. So this would be a huge shock. Not one I'm averse to, despite the fact that Bournemouth are one of our relegation candidates who we're batting against. Anything that puts a spoke in the rails of Arsenal, no, I'm all for. As long as we can reciprocate when we play Bournemouth and beat them. Yes. Which obviously isn't guaranteed, but
it certainly isn't. Well, listen to this. We were complaining about a statistical break of 76-24 in favour of the opposition. Arsenal, who are losing at half time, they've had 86% of possession. 86%. They've 14 shots, only 3 on target. Bournemouth 14% of possession, 2 shots, both on target, and they're leading 1-0 at half time. So if that doesn't indicate that you don't need the ball all the time to win a game, I mean, well, I don't know what does.
It's also telling stat to us, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Now, if Bournemouth can actually, I know it's probably a complete anomaly, but if Bournemouth can go and leading 1-0 against the side that's top of the league, what the hell are we doing down on the south coast today? Because
well, and the other point about that, Rio, is we were just saying that West Ham have got the worst ever passing split in the Premier League history. Well, if that was the case, then it's just been usurped by Bournemouth, because as well as only having 14% of possession, they've enjoyed 66 passes, so 3 fewer than West Ham, and Arsenal have made 391. So more than Brighton, but so the difference being, of course, that Bournemouth lead that. Interestingly, I don't want to bang on about this game too much, of course, but it just piqued my interest that Bournemouth is still in the live win probability stakes, which is something to do with the bookmakers. I'm not quite sure how they come up with that, but Bournemouth's win probability, despite leading at half time, is still only 23%. So I guess Arsenal, the bookies expecting Arsenal to go and turn that one round in the second half, but it remains 1-0 to Bournemouth anyway. Elsewhere, no goals between Wolves and Tottenham, and no goals between Chelsea and Leeds, and Aston Villa still leading Crystal Palace 1-0, courtesy of that 27th minute Joachim Andersen own goal for Palace. Later today, we've got Southampton and Leicester, big game at the bottom of the table. Tomorrow afternoon, it's Nottingham Forest versus Everton, big game at the bottom of the table, and then Liverpool, Manchester United, which doesn't really affect us, and Brentford and Fulham, which also doesn't really affect us on Monday night. So a couple of interesting games, but it would be nice, given those fixtures, to get something out today. And I suppose the thing is, Rio, for as badly as we've played so far, we're still in this game, right? Still only one goal, just one bit of magic from Paquetá or Bowen or Ings, and we're back in the game.
Yeah, perversely, if Bowen had taken his chance in the first half, we would have gone in level. And it's not deserved at all. I'd say Brighton haven't been no great shakes going forwards. March has been quite lively. The Japanese fellow on the other side's been quite threatening, but I think that's because mainly who he's up against. But they've offered very little in terms of real attacking threat and intent, other than little glimpses of genius from those two. So, yeah, when we're still more than in this game, but it needs a lot of harsh words at half time, and it needs a little bit of a reality check by the playing staff themselves. We heard rumours that Declan Rice took all our playing staff together a week and a half ago and read the riot act and tried to galvanise the squad together. He needs to do that at half time, a la Scott Parker today. We saw the benefits of whatever happened that day in the way that we played against Forest, particularly in the second half, and the way we played for most of the game against Manchester United. But we look like we've reverted to how we've been playing for the majority of the league season, at least. And it's not a pretty sight, and it's not a comfortable watch. It's not comfortable if you're a West Ham fan, and it certainly can't be comfortable if you're getting paid X amount a week as a player. Now, knowing that your teammates are just not working hard enough to try and rescue a league position, try and rescue careers at times here.
Yeah, it's a strange one. I mean, I know it's Brighton, and I know we joke about having a terrible record against them. I mean, I think this is, if we don't win today, this will be the 12th occasion on which the two clubs have met since we last beat them back in 2012, April 2012. But I'm really surprised. I've got to say, I'm really surprised with the way we played so far. People spoke. I mean, you remember all those years ago, the 06-07 season when we produced the Great Escape, and people quite often talk about that Tottenham game we lost at home 4-3 as being kind of almost like the catalyst for change. Even though we lost that game, it spurred us on to that incredible recovery at the end of the season. I thought that the recent Tottenham game, which we lost 2-0, was going to have a similar effect. So obviously, it was another defeat, and it wasn't quite the same sort of performance, but I felt that would have a similar effect because we were so bad, and it was I said at the time, I called it a cowardly approach by David Moyes that day. Since then, we went at Forest, got our just rewards, at the end, 4 goals, okay, maybe a bit more than we deserved, but we certainly deserved the win. Went for it on Wednesday at Manchester United. Okay, it was a cup game, perhaps you haven't got so much to lose, but kind of given the attitude that we started and played both of those games with, I really thought that would have planted a seed in Moyes' mind, as if to say, this is the way forward. You saw the fans' response. Fans, even on Wednesday night, we were disappointed as West Ham fans, but a lot of people were kind of the view that, all right, at least we've given it a go. At least we've had a go at them. We've lost, but we haven't lost in embarrassing fashion. We haven't lost the kind of manner in which we did against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup a couple of years back when we didn't have a shot on target that day. you know, we went out, we had a go, and we could have beaten them. Let's be honest. But so that's what I really don't understand why we've come out playing the way we have. Is it? Do you think it's Moyes' tactical approach that's caused us problems today, Rio, or do you think it's the players? They've kind of just reverted to type. Who's, you know, where does the you know, not looking to blame people, but where does the responsibility for that performance in the first half lie? Is it with the players? Is it with the coach? Is it with both? What do you make of it?
I definitely think it's a combination of both. We all saw how the more proactive, the more aggressive way we attacked the last two games, you know, not only lifted the fan base, but the players themselves. I mean, when that first goal went against Forest, you could feel the whole stadium, a little bit of anxiety, just kind of massive cloud just evaporate, and everyone played with a lot more freedom, a lot more positivity, and like there's a lot of flair out there, and everyone just looked ready up for it, and that carried on Wednesday night. I mean, you know, the manner in which we lost Wednesday, a couple of really silly defensive errors, it's going to knock your confidence a little bit. But surely the players must have seen the way we approached the game last week and this week, on Wednesday, should be, as you say, a galvanising spirit and a force for change and a force to carry on in the manner that we was playing in those two games. Yeah. Because it was so proactive and positive, and you know, the mood must have lifted greatly. Today we just reverted to the way we've been playing for the bulk of the season. It's not pretty. It's not. It can't be an enjoyable team to play in when we're playing like this. We're not utilising any of the strengths that we have. We're not getting. When we do give Paquetá the ball, and he's probably been our most creative player today. Yeah. What options has he got around him? Rice isn't. He's obviously been told to sit back a bit, which I'm all for, but he's not showing himself as much. Thomas Souček isn't getting to areas to support Danny Ings. Everyone is far too deep, far too static, not working hard enough. And as a team, you know, how can you enjoy playing that kind of way? I think the management's got a lot to answer for, but also I think the players, they've got to take on a certain degree of responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What do you think, guys? Joining us on the stream, do you think it's down to David Moyes' tactical approach that we played so poorly so far today? Do you think it is indeed down to the players reverting to type, reverting to form, or do you think it's a combination of both, or even another factor? Let us know what you think in the live chat. That's what we're here for. The second half has just got underway. West Ham now kicking from left to right. Not that that will mean anything to any of you guys, especially if you haven't got a stream of your own. But West Ham in that all claret kit, trying to somehow turn around this game and come back from this 1-0 deficit. It's Brighton on the attack immediately from the first half, breaking down the left-hand side, that side that they look to get at so often in the first half. But it's all Brighton in the first 30, 45 seconds of this second half, which...
In a change at half-time as well.
Okay.
Pablo Fornells is on. I haven't seen who's left at the moment.
Oh, Ben Rama. He's just come up on my screen. Thanks, Rio. I hadn't spotted that. I think we both felt Fornells deserved to start today, didn't we? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I thought he played very well in the week. And obviously his work rate's high. He has got that ability to pick a pass. I mean, Ben Rama today he's offered very little, hasn't he? He's been very wasteful again in possession. Yeah. Easily brushed off the ball. So maybe Moyes is looking for a little bit more defensive discipline and also a little bit of ingenuity to kind of augment Paquetá.
Yes, let's hope so. Lots of big fans. I know we've got a lot of big fans on the stream as well of our Spanish magician. Sorry, I just got a little bit frustrated there because Ben Johnson just once again, he's done it again twice in the opening 90 seconds of the second half. Ben Johnson's got the ball. Instead of playing the ball to a teammate, he's just tried to hoof it clear and conceded possession twice in a row. Really frustrating to see that. Really, really frustrating. Slightly worrying is the fact that Jared Bowen is now on the deck, rolling around in a little bit of agony. He's now on his front. Now let's see what happened here. Didn't quite see what occurred here. Brighton had the ball. I've no idea what happened. Bowen seemed to walk towards an opponent go up behind him, and then he fell to the floor. I didn't see an elbow or anything come out. Or not quite sure what that was all about. Anyway, Bowen's back on his feet. The game continues. So no idea what happened there at all. But maybe Rio, you'll see it if you're a few seconds behind me.
Yeah, the incident's just occurred.
Did you see anything?
There's nothing really concrete there for me.
No. But if anyone on the stream, anyone joining us saw what happened there, you've got a stream, let us know, because we didn't quite see what led Bowen
The Brighton
to...
players raised a hand a little bit, but nothing in it, and he just walked into him, and
he's trying to pull
I can't understand it.
No, very, very strange. Very, very strange. Anyway, West Ham have got the ball. Paquetá's on the left-hand side. Fornell's now with the ball, looking to get into the penalty area. Plays a little 1-2 with Danny Ings, and that's a poor touch from Ings. But the Brighton defence, it's their turn to panic now, and they put it straight out of touch. So West Ham a little bit fortunate to get the ball back, see if West Ham can string a few passes together. And no, we can't, because it's now our turn to put the ball straight in touch. It's Fornell's. It's all a bit too tight for West Ham. Very tight that area, trying to play short little passes, and lost the ball. But we've appeared to have regained possession. No, we haven't, because we've lost it again. And Brighton can now break on the left-hand side. Mitoma up against Johnson once again. So Thomas Souček comes across. This is dangerous. They slip the ball through. Shot on. Oh, that's poor. Real big chance for Brighton there. Really, really good chance for the number 10 McAllister, who found space on the edge of the box. Had time and space to put it onto his favoured foot and select his spot, but bangs it over the bar. It's not far over the bar, but it is over the bar. And West Ham survived there. Yeah, architects of our own downfall yet again there, Rio.
Yeah, slack play up front, ball breaks away. And again, it's far too easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
A man on the overlap, that if it had gone that way, like there was 2 or 3 Brighton players in the box, but luckily he didn't, because he's had a wild crack at it, and it wasn't far away, but he had other options there, and he really should have utilised them rather than going for glory. But it's luckily that, he wasn't far over at all. But I still think he made the wrong decision there.
Yeah. Was there a
but yeah, where the architects are own downfall.
Yeah. Well, just seen Ben Johnson give the ball away again. That's 3 times in the opening 5 minutes. Fortunately for West Ham, the shot has eventually come in, but it's been blocked by Naif Agurd. So Johnson, who didn't have a particularly good first half, has had an absolute dreadful start to the second. And up the other end, Brighton have just managed to play themselves out of danger, playing suicide football for me. That passing the ball inside your own box, and they've just got away with it. And they're now in West Ham's penalty area. March with the ball, plays it. It's a real chance. Oh, McAllister again had an opportunity. He's inside the 6-yard box. The ball's played into his feet. He's tried to backheel it past Areola, but fortunately the Frenchman has managed to spot what McAllister was trying to do, and he's kept the ball out. Let's have another look at it again. West Ham just not tracking the run. It actually isn't Areola. It's Agurd, and it's more sort of struck Agurd's left foot than he did anything deliberately, and it's cannoned then off his right foot and gone out for a corner. So a bit of a comedy of errors from West Ham, but 3 chances. I mean, they're racking up the chances again now, Brighton, and they have a corner. Let's just see what happens here. This is going to go in. It's 2-0. It's 2-0. Brighton lead. Yeah, I have no idea what West Ham were doing defensively there. But West Ham have absolutely fallen apart at the start of the second half. It's Brighton 2, West Ham United 0 in the 51st minute. The corner came from West Ham's right. It was nodded on to the back post, where I'm not sure who the goal scorer is, but he was totally unmarked. It's criminal defending from West Ham. It's the substitute just to... let's have another look at this. The corner's come in. It's nodded on, and Veltman. I mean, what is Johnson doing? I mean, let's have another look at this. Rio, I'll get you in for your thoughts on this. I mean, I have no idea what Ben Johnson's doing there. He's just marking thin air. He's nowhere near the player. Rio,
he actually watched Veltman move away from him. He just stood there and watched Veltman move. And there's no reaction there. He's not goal-siding the man. I'm sorry, but I love the concept of Ben Johnson more than the actual player. You always want a homegrown youth player to come through, be a West Ham kind of stalwart, almost a legend. Ben Johnson just is not good enough. He's not a good enough defender. He's not good enough going forwards. And, you know, Brighton have clearly targeted him throughout the game in the first half by attacking down that flank. Today, he's made their job a lot easier by just standing and watching a Brighton corner float across. He's watched his men get in front of him and not on. It's just not good enough. I'm sorry to say it.
No, it really isn't. It was pretty dreadful. Talking about not being good enough, we're joined on the stream by team member number 3. No, what a time to come in that is. Brighton 2, West Ham. How much of the game have you seen, buddy?
I've had it on a stream. I've been running around. As you know, I have to go away this evening. Hence my non-presence down there and running around like a proverbial blue-ass fly. So, yeah, I'm just having a bit of a break before I finish packing and get on my way. But it's terrible, isn't it? And I think you're a few seconds ahead of me at the moment. But as I'm looking on, we've just had Ariela's just made another stave as they've torn us apart. From
another Johnson era.
Yeah. Well, Johnson's really having a mare, really. You know, we could put the other night down to a mad 15 minutes with poor old Lagarde with a number of personal errors, but we've just been awful throughout this game. You know, it's just embarrassing to watch, really, I'm afraid. And
Brighton now on the left-hand side. I mean, they're just passing the ball around the edge of West Ham's penalty area. It's an absolute. This is terrible. It's quite terrible. It's Declan Rice who actually inexplicably gave the ball away. A terrible pass on the halfway line. Cross has just come in, and we've just seen Angelo Bonner head it out and touch. This is an absolutely dreadful. I mean, we've seen some terrible West Ham performances so far this season, but I've got to say, chaps, Rio, this is up there with the worst of them so far. It's absolutely horrendous. And we've just seen Thomas Souček go through the back of Caicedo, and that's going to be a yellow card at best for Souček. He's been shown, so Atwell's shown the yellow card. It was a really late. You can see it's born out of frustration, that one, Rio. But I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been a red. That's so late from the Czech.
Yeah, that just compounds the last couple of minutes, doesn't it? We've just seen, as I said, Ben Johnson make another error. He stepped up, got caught out. Ariel had to make a great save and also gave him, I think, what they called in the business a very hard Paddington stare at Ben Johnson in the aftermath of that. Danny Ings gets knocked off the ball far too easily. The ball comes back at us. And I think just to tap it all off, I think Thomas Souček, it's just frustration, isn't it? And yeah, it's not a nice
tackle. The Souček challenge. I'm obviously a minute or two behind you, and no complaints about. It's effective. Yeah, no complaints about the yellow card for that one. It's just it's just horrible. You can tell Souček as he gets up, he thinks, "Yeah, I know." He's not done the protestations of innocence that we tend to see. Still, if we need a little bit of cheering up, Millwall 1, Norwich 2, Bradshaw own goal, and Bournemouth have just gone 2-0 up at Arsenal.
Brilliant.
Which is good and bad news. Yeah, it's not good news for us, but it's good news for right sort of thinking people who don't like Arsenal. So.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a huge goal for Bournemouth because, of course, as we said in the first half, that would if Bournemouth win today would put them above West Ham, leave West Ham above the drop zone on goal difference only. Just going back to the game because we've actually got a rare foray on the left. Fornals plays it short. It's played to Fornals, plays it short to Rice. Oh, and it's too short. Rice was hoping to pull the trigger there, but the ball's so short that defenders got in, and Brighton are countering now. This is dangerous. It's 2 against 2. Nyfagurd's done well and nicked the ball off McAllister though, and the danger's over. But that just kind of, Rio, that sums up West Ham today, doesn't it? Really good attacking opportunity. All Fornals has got to do is roll a 2 or 3 yard pass into the path of Declan Rice, who's preparing to pull the trigger. He's drawn the foot back already almost, and it's just a poor pass, too short. Can't get anything right today.
It's shambolic. absolutely shambolic at the moment. I mean, chances have been a premium as it is, but yeah, it's just not good enough. It's just really simply not good enough. From every aspect of our play has been abysmal. We've not been cohesive going forward. We've been far too slack in our defending and our passing, and yeah, I keep reiterating it, but it's just lucky Brighton aren't as good as some of the other teams in this league who would have ripped us to shreds and been like at least 6 up by now, because we deserve to be losing heavily, because we're not, there's nothing of any real substance and positivity I can grasp from this performance at all.
Now, we've just had an incident where Jared Bowen has gone into the ball, played into the box to Ings. It's kind of half cleared. Bowen's picked the ball up, surged into the box. He's gone down very, very easily, admittedly. But referee Atwell has decided to show a yellow card. I mean, he's been sandwiched there. To Bowen's credit, he tries to get back on his feet. Let's have another look at this. I think he stands accidentally on Webster's foot and goes down, but gets up again. So I'm not quite sure why Atwell has decreed it necessary to issue a yellow card and a free kick against him there. But I guess knowing that kind of sums up West Ham's performance today. I don't know if you've had a chance to see that yet.
I've just this second seen it, and it sums up Atwell anyway, who's referee who's never ever had the slightest clue of what he's doing. Owes the fact he's a professional referee purely to the fact that they kind of took him on as a favour to his mate, a certain Keith Hackett. You can tell it's not a dive for one very, very, very clear and obvious reason. The second he's gone down, he's trying to scramble back to his feet to get the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't, he's booking Rice now as well. If you don't know that Atwell, then you've got no place being a professional referee. There's cards being brandished left, right, and centre now, and Rice is still having a go at him. And
sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So just ludicrous that.
My was for Brighton should be 3 up. Ball came across as March, who's been everywhere for Brighton today, got onto the penalty box on the left-hand side, played a ball across goal. It's beat Areola, just needs a tap in at the far post. But fortunately, somehow West Ham managed to keep it out on this occasion. But Brighton should be 3 ahead. Rio, your thoughts on that particular chance?
Still not come up on my one yet. They're still going for a Declan Rice challenge in a minute.
Yeah, I've only just seen the challenge because my stream was, I don't know what sort of streams you're getting, but mine seems to be a little bit all over the place. And they just showed the booking of Rice, but they hadn't shown the challenge. And presumably, while they were showing the replay of Bowen getting booked for absolutely precisely zero reason. So having seen the challenge from Rice, then that's a fair enough booking. But Bowen, no way. That's And the thing is, with bookings, you can't even appeal against them. So Bowen could get another yellow card for any old reason, 10 minutes time, and then he's off the pitch. He's got a suspension, and there's no appeal against it. When everyone knows Atwell's just made a complete mess of it.
Yeah. I mean, it also seems incredibly harsh to me because he awarded a penalty to them in the first half for a not hugely dissimilar decision.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go. So, as Noam rightly points out, 3 yellow cards for West Ham, who hadn't previously had any in the game, in the space of just over 4 minutes. Souček first for going in late on Caicedo. Bowen for what Atwell decreed to be a dive, which, of course, wasn't a dive. And then Rice, I think we've got to hold our hands up on that one and say that was fair enough. Went through the back of McAllister. We've just seen another ball played across from the left-hand side, almost identical to that position a couple of minutes ago, across the edge of the 6-yard box by Solly March, and West Ham managing to keep it out. The first one was Naifa Gerd, I believe, who put in a good challenge. But anyway, we have a player down.
Oh, Bonner clutching his knee.
Bonner who's down. That's not good. That's really not good. Maybe a chance for Zuma to come on earlier than he might have thought. But he's not moving a lot, which is always kind of worries me, chaps, when you see a player quite static.
Goal news elsewhere. Arsenal pulled one back. Party on 62 minutes. So maybe our league position might improve slightly through no efforts of our own, because we're not putting any effort into this game. And up at Villa, Palace are down to 10 men. It just come up on the feed there. So Decore's had a second now. Ogbonna, as I say, I'm probably a bit behind you, but Ogbonna's sitting there looking down. Bowen's a little bit in the way, but the sort of body language from what you can see is not good. It's he's sitting there looking down. He's sort of sitting there staring down at it, not looking at all happy.
No, I can say Zuma is warming up. It looks like it's going to be a swap. It looks like Zuma's coming on. While we're just waiting for that to be confirmed, I can tell you there's been a goal at Chelsea as well. Wesley Fofana has scored for the Blues, so they lead Leeds by 1-0, which is good news for West Ham, because it means that we're now a point clear of the relegation zone. Whereas had it remained goalless, then we would have been level on points with Leeds as things stand. Yeah, so that change is coming now. We're just seeing Zuma come on for Ogbonna. We're in the 64th minute. It's the second change by David Moyes this afternoon. Zuma replacing the stricken Ogbonna. I don't think they're going to let us make the change before the corner comes in, which is slightly unusual. It's Marsh who's going to take the corner from the left-hand side. West Ham, we've only one centre-half out there at the moment. Fortunately, Alphonse Areola's managed to pick the ball up, and West Ham are on the counter here. But so that change not made yet. Zuma are just about to come on for Ogbonna. Fornell's coming on for Ben Rama at half-time. The other change by West Ham at the moment. Just one change for Brighton so far. Vetman replacing Lamptey after 16 minutes. Lamptey injured and was no longer able to continue. That's how it stands at the moment. 2-0 to Brighton. 64 minutes gone. 26 minutes left to play. Need something of a miracle now, chaps, for the Hammers. We're going to get back into this. Rio, any chance whatsoever? What do you think?
No. We've offered nothing today. And I just really can't see where any kind of inspiration is going to come from. The only kind of thing with a disposal, which we could do, Dan Ings has been largely kind of marked out of the game and we're not utilised him whatsoever. Maybe could bring on Skamaka a bit of kind of physical presence up front, but it'd actually benefit Dan Ings to have Skamaka alongside him. But you just can't see David Moyes changing his long tried and trusted methods of tactical setup. And I hate to kind of beat a man Moyes down, but the last forays before the Ogbonna injury, sorry, my cat's trying to get the stream off, which is not helping. Ben Johnson was completely at fault again.
Yeah, he's had not a good afternoon. I think it's fair to say. Poor Ben Johnson. Good news is West Ham have increased their share of possession, I can tell you, to a massive 29% now, up from 24 to 29. We've only had one shot in the second half in the 20 minutes. It wasn't on target, but so far we've had 3 shots, 2 on target. Brighton now 10, 5 on target. But Declan Rice, I've got to say, Declan Rice looks absolutely sick as a pig out there. Really, really frustrating. I've got to say, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick up a second yellow the way things are going. Brighton have just got into the box. March again, Solly March, yet again, has found space. He's had a shot. It's hooked over the bar, fortunately for West Ham. But Declan Rice's demeanour, he is not a happy man out there right now. He, on a yellow for that foul on McAllister.
He's. Yeah, I'm just watching him now. I think I'm watching a bit, as I say, you were talking about, and he's walking along there shaking his head. And, there's just no... So just watching another tame effort going, but there's just no thinking about it. There are players out there who simply wanted to get through to 90 minutes. Just want to get this over and done with. And if you told some of those that we can blow up now and you can go home, they'd take it rather than try and try and do something to win a point back.
Yeah, can't disagree with any of that. Zoom is still not on the pitch, by the way. We're still waiting for him to come on. I think he's actually going to sit down again for a second. Just waiting to see. I mean, he's still got his kit off, one of Gnome's bugbears. He's kitted up and all the tracksuits and all that is off. He's ready to come on the pitch, but they're not doing it right now. Solly March is limping off for the second time this afternoon. Danny Ings goes over to check his status and gets offered short shrift, I think it's fair to say, by Solly March. 68 minutes gone. It's Brighton 2, West Ham United 0. The Hammers, an absolutely dreadful performance so far this afternoon. I have to say it's one of the worst I can remember this season. We've had a few of those. Now, that change finally happening. Ogbonna off for Ogbonna. For Zuma. Don't write and speak at the same time. It never works. Zuma replaces Ogbonna 4 minutes after we thought it was going to happen, first of all. 22 minutes to go, and it's still 0-0. How are we doing elsewhere, chaps? Any other goals gone in? Are we still?
Yeah, and Norwich have gone 3-1 up at Millwall, which my train later on is going through New Cross as it usually does. But I shall laugh out loud. And I've just got. I've just seen it, up on the screen. I haven't seen the goal, but I've just seen it up on the screen.
Sorry, no for coming in, but it's 3-0, and it's just so easy for Brighton. This is terrible. This is absolutely dreadful from West Ham. The ball, Solly March yet again. How many times? How much space and time has he been given by West Ham this afternoon? He's just allowed to turn in the box. No one making a challenge. 12 yards out. Allowed to turn in the box, play a short ball to his right-hand side. The ball's been played across the goal to the left-hand side, where Mitoma just comes in and let's have a look. It's Areola gives the ball away with the poor clearance, first of all. Brighton build down the centre. It's played into Marsh, who cuts into the middle, plays a little ball out to his right, as I said, and it's played across. And I think he's offside, actually. I think Mitoma might be offside here.
It looked a little bit. I'd like to see the lines.
Yeah. The only thing is whether a Gerd is planning him onside. Sorry, not a Gerd. It's let's have a look at this. Yeah, I mean the point I think though is, I mean, from a West Ham perspective, where's Johnson again? Where is Ben Johnson? Absolutely asleep, dreaming. He's left the play. No, I mean it's been the VAR must have checked it, but it's been allowed to stand. It's 3-0. But Ben Johnson is having an absolute nightmare out there this afternoon, lost his man yet again.
Ooh, that's close, isn't it? I think a Gerd's attempt to block the cross with his leg out might just have, it was Emerson's, but on the brighter side, I think we've just gone up a place. Arsenal have equalised against Bournemouth. Ben White on 70 minutes, which that should actually see us go up a place from where we are in the as it stands table at the moment, because we'll have same points as Bournemouth, but we've got a much better goal difference despite this afternoon. So it's an ill wind, I suppose. But
well, just seeing Declan Rice concede possession yet again. It's a shocking ball by Rice, who's just an accident waiting to happen out there. He's completely frustrated. I just hope he doesn't do anything silly and get a second yellow card. West Ham countering anyway on the left-hand side now. Rice with the ball, plays it short to Emerson. Emerson back to Rice. What can West Ham do with this? 19 minutes to find 3 goals. I think that's going to happen somehow. But at least Brighton at camp.
19 games to find 3 goals the way they're playing at the moment.
Well,
minutes.
But you know what's really frustrating about this, Rio, is that we played so well last week against Forest. Did our goal difference a real, gave it a real boost with that 4-goal haul. And we've pretty much thrown it away in 90 minutes straight away here in the following league game. Crazy football.
Yeah, we're West Ham. We like to be sportsmanlike, don't we? So let's level the playing field up again. Make the Premier League interesting. We might get a cash bonus for making things more interesting going down towards the end of the season. The FA might go, oh, thank you, West Ham. You kept it down to the wire. Yeah, here's a couple of quid. David Sullivan will do anything for a £5.
Well, you've got to ask questions like that. You've got to wonder what's going on because this. I mean, as bad as Spurs was a couple of weeks ago, for me, this is a worse performance already. And the way it's looking, Brighton could score a fourth or a fifth. They're in complete control. West Ham are like rabbits in headlights. Don't know what's going on. There's no cohesion. No one can pass the ball.
We just had a message from our resident in the away support, Pinky. The away support have turned.
Oh,
so this is a momentous occasion, to be honest.
It is.
Once the away fans turn, we're in trouble.
Well, we've been saying this, haven't we, for so long, is that for all the criticism that David Moyes has received from social media and fans on the KUMB.com forum and elsewhere, other social media platforms, the away fans have stayed behind him all the time. Never once turned. And so as Rio says, this is a really significant moment, Noam, if that's the case. If the away fans have finally said enough's enough. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I go to a fair chunk of the away stuff when I can. And in fact, I'd be there today, but for certain circumstances. But yeah, I mean, I can remember once sort of having a chat with you when I've been up to Hull, and I think we'd lost a stupid game 2-0. And I said, "Oh yeah," I said, "I'm fed up. I've got a stomach ache. I've driven 400 miles, and yeah, I put in an effort to go 400 miles, and they haven't." And it is very, very dispiriting when I mean, okay, Brighton's not furthest away, sort of thing, and it's an hour and a bit down from Victoria, but you know, when you've made an effort, you've made a journey, you've done something, you want to see some sort of efforts in recognition of the fact that you've actually made the effort to go and give them a cheer, sort of thing. And this is just short-changing the away fans, big time.
Yeah, absolutely, no question about that. Still 15 minutes to go. No more subs or evidence of subs about to come from West Ham from Moyes. So Brighton breaking through the centre again. Ball. That's another chance. I think it's Ferguson this time. Buys himself a bit of space on the edge of the box. No, still no closing down from West Ham. And the youngster has time to pick his spot. Fortunately for the Hammers, it's high and wide. And indeed, as I say that, of course, David Moyes has made me look a bit of a mug because he's making two changes right away. Flynn Downs is coming on for Tommy Souček.
How dare he make you look a mug? That's our job.
Downs on for Souček. Paquetá also going off, and we just wait to see who's that's coming. It's Lanzini. So Downs and Lanzini coming on for Paquetá and Souček. So I guess that means, Rio, that Moyes has pretty much given this one up and decided just to give people some minutes.
Yeah, there's no change of formation to kind of alter things around, give a different dynamic. There's no attempt to give Dan Ings a little bit of support up front, despite the fact that he's been sorely lacking all game. So, yeah, let's get a few appearance money in. On you go, lads. Go on. Give yourself a tap.
I'd suggest that the substitution's got absolutely nothing to do with today's game, and it's just to give a bit of a warm-up to Lanzini and Downs, who I suspect are more likely to feature on Thursday night down in Cyprus. Just a theory.
Could be.
It's absolutely spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
There's been more changes, not just West Ham making changes. Brighton have made a couple of their own. March and Estupiñán, the two players who, of course, made their return from injury today, had been missing the last couple of games. They're back, and manager has decided that enough's enough for them. And Buonanet and Welbeck are on the pitch for Brighton, who are currently breaking through the centre. But Kurt Zouma making his return from injury for West Ham manages to deal with that, and the Hammers looking to break. Now, 77 minutes gone, Brighton 3, West Ham United 0, and I've just seen the worst pass of the day, played in by Pablo Forlan. He's out on the right. He's by the halfway line. I've absolutely no idea what he's trying to do, but he's essentially passed the ball back to Brighton's goalkeeper, Jason Steele, in the air. It's the worst pass you'll see all day, and by God, we've seen a few, but I suppose it ups our pass rate a little bit, which isn't too bad considering we only made 69 passes in the first half.
Well, Doesn't really, does it? That count as a
It
pass.
might actually count as a shot. Maybe
Yeah.
what he's trying to do is increase that shot count. You know, it's
Oh,
on
I've just
target at
seen it
least.
now. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Okay.
what- can we claim that as a shot? No, what do you reckon?
Partridge. I want Alan Partridge to go on there and interview him and to say, what was that? Yeah.
It was. I've no idea. I'm not sure if it's a pass or a shot. I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do. But anyway, West Ham still got the ball. We've put together about 10 passes now in the midfield. This is the best spell of passing we've had in the entire game. Brighton can't get near us. Unbelievable football from the Hammers. Still got the ball. Bowen's got it now. Plays it out right to Johnson. Oh, this isn't good. No, Johnson's found his man. Lane's Fornells it is with the ball, still on the right hand side, still trying to get into the box. We're on the right touchline now, just outside Brighton's box. Must be 20 passes West Ham put together in this little exchange, which is, as we said, about a third of what we did in the entire first half. Still got the ball. Knife for Gerd has got the ball now. Unbelievable. 30 must be 30 passes is from West Ham. Haven't got anywhere. We've actually gone backwards, but you know. We've still got the ball. Lanzini with the ball now. Plays it into the channel for Rice. Rice is going to put a crossover. And there it goes. We've lost the ball. But, oh no, we've got it back on the edge of the box. Rice tries to, oh, he's lost it again. So all that excitement comes to nothing as Jason still hoofs it clear to Agerd, who'll try and build again for the Hammers. 79 minutes gone. Brighton leading 3-0. The goals coming from McAllister after 18 minutes from the penalty spot. Second goal from Veltman, the substitute, 6 minutes into the second half. And the third goal coming from Matoma, who won the penalty in the first half, scoring right at the back post. 2 goals coming in the area of Ben Johnson, who's quite frankly had an absolute shocker. No, it's not to diminish or from the performance. I mean, everyone else, let's be honest, has put in a terrible performance today. But this could be another chance for Brighton. They're inside West Ham's box. Mitoma is with the ball, but he's decided to play it back, and Brighton just keeping the ball now. I'm sure if I had my sound turned up, I could be hearing a few olays from the Amex Stadium crowd, but we don't want to hear that, so we'll keep it down.
It reminds me, very, very dispiritingly reminds me of another 3-0 tonking at Brighton when must have been in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
And I went down there. It was a miserable day and got beat 3-0. Brady missed a penalty. So when would that have been? Rio, you would have
1990, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's I just had a look actually, and Soccer Base, September 16th of Saturday, the 16th of September, 1989. So yeah.
1989, yeah.
Oh, this could be a penalty. This could be another penalty. No. Well, I think West Ham have got away with one there, chaps. The ball's played into the box. I'm presuming it's Emerson who's come across and made the challenge. It's the ball's played into the box diagonally by Welbeck, looking for the run on the right-hand side. I think that's a penalty, you know. Now,
I've not seen it yet, so
Bonanet, the other substitute, is the player who's gone down the ball. I think Emerson's a free kick's been given to West Ham, but I think that's a penalty. So let me know what you think. Well, hang on, this could be a fall for Brighton. Oh, and Welbeck's put it wide. Great chance, edge of box. He's got the freedom of Brighton to pick his spot, and he puts it wide of the post. Fortunately for West Ham, he's probably a little bit cold, just coming back up. Penalty, Rio. No, what did you make of it? Penalty shootout.
I've just seen the first go of it. Just have a look at the replay now. Let's have a look. I think actually, to be fair, I think he might have got it right, because if you look at the Brighton player's left foot, is the one that actually touches. Was it Emerson rather, wasn't it? I
think it's Emerson. Yeah.
He actually it's a foul by the Brighton player on Emerson, but both players go down. But the actual contact is Brighton on West Ham. I'm amazed. I'm amazed it isn't a penalty because it's Atwell. But no, it was. Yeah, I think I'm going to have a. I am sitting down. Atwell's got something right, I think, on that one.
Rio, you going with Gnome on that one? Did you see it as a foul by?
In real time, I'm surprised the referee didn't give it. I say, once you look at the replay, Gnome's right. It is Brighton player clipping the West Ham player more, but in real time, how many times we've seen them given?
Yep.
I've also just seen a candidate for the worst pass today as well.
Sorry, I missed that, Rio. Sorry, what was that? Did you say?
Yeah, no, it's another absolute shocking pass. Just on the edge of our area. I think it was Flynn Downs.
Oh,
who
yes.
decided to pass it into whatever Brighton player wanted to attack at the moment. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a competition for that, couldn't we, on its own, the worst pass of the day. There's been
It's
a few
been an
candidates.
absolute
I've got a flight to catch first thing tomorrow, guys, so I don't think we can.
Well, the good news is, I suppose, or for Glenn Johnson at least, anyway, is that Mitoma, who's absolutely roasted him all afternoon, he's going off. Now he's going to be replaced. Ferguson, the young lad, who's also looked decent this afternoon, he's also off. And in just a second, I'll tell you the names of the two players coming on for Brighton. It's Sarmiento, the number 19, and Ciso, the number 20. So is that 5 subs I think they've made now, Brighton? And West Ham on 4, but we're into the final 7 minutes of normal time. Brighton cruising this one. I mean, you know, if this was a boxing match, the white towel would have been thrown in long ago. David Moyes is just sitting there looking like dare I say it, a bit of an angry ant on the touchline, looking furious as he does with I don't know if it's with himself, the way he set his team up, or with the way his team have played. But West Ham are playing absolutely terribly. It must be the worst performance of the season, I think. Let us know what you think of what you've seen so far in the comments. Got some words coming in. Hobo on that penalty decision says, if it isn't a penalty, why wasn't it a booking for diving? And Steve Palmer says, Brighton aren't even having to try here. AGXM predicting that Welbeck will be odds on for a goal against us too. And they've just hit the post. They've just hit the post, the substitute. And Ciso's been on the pitch for about 30 seconds. And it's actually a really good save by Alphonse Areola. The ball's arrowing towards the top right-hand corner. He's hit it from the edge of the box. Called it well enough. It's going into the top right corner. Areola's managed to stretch out and fingertip it against the post and save West Ham from further embarrassment. But chaps, the whistle can't come soon enough for us, can it really, in this one?
It's
Yeah, sorry.
it's a real low, isn't it? It's a real low.
Yeah, I mean, I've just seen the save, Mario. Fantastic save. But yeah, I'm just why? It's just like
oh dear, oh dear. It's nearly a fourth. Yeah, again they've gone through the middle, and we've managed to finally get a tackle in sort of 8 yards from goal, just as the Brighton players preparing to pull the trigger. But the question I want to ask you, no, let me ask you first on this. Does this change the situation with regards to David Moyes?
I know I'm short and fat, but I think you need to ask Sullivan. I think you really on that. I've said this before. I think Sullivan is I've got the impression, nothing to back this up, by the way, just to before anyone wants to know what I know or who I know or where I know it from. But I've always had the impression, just from the way that the tame mouthpieces seem to go up and down, that Sullivan's made up his mind that Moyes was going to go at some stage, and it's going to be a case of, as soon as we get a bad result against someone he thinks we shouldn't get a bad result against. So, like, if you lose to Tottenham, that's not going to do anything. You lose to Man City, you're not going to. But if we'd lost to Forest, for example, I think that might have been the final straw. Now, Brighton are kind of on the border of, is that something? Is that a result we shouldn't get? I mean, okay, they're a bogey team. They have a good season, they're a good side, and all that. But this performance has been so absolutely appalling. Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned Tottenham. And the first 15, 20 minutes, okay, clear-cut chances were at a premium in that thing. But, we were arguably as good as, if not better than them. We actually took the game to them for about 35, 40 minutes. And then we sat back for the last 10, 15 minutes of the first half and carried on the second half. Now, so even the Tottenham game have that redeeming feature today. Absolutely nothing. There's just no... I mean, I'm just looking at now this Brighton player at the back. and everyone's just sort of sitting back and watching him. It's like, well, go bloody nick the thing off him, you know. I mean, Brighton will probably go off this pitch at the end, take their shirts off, and they'll go straight back into the club shop, and they won't need a wash. You know, that's how easy we've made it for.
Yeah. Well, we've just seen a shot of the aforementioned Mr. Sullivan with his latest squeeze in the stands, and I was going to say he doesn't look too happy, but he kind of always looks a bit like that. So it's difficult to tell exactly how he's feeling. But we are in the final 3 minutes now. Is it what do you guys think? Is there anyone on the stream who's been backing Moyes up to this point and who's perhaps had their mind changed by what they've seen this afternoon? Is this the worst West Ham performance for you this season, or are we just making too much of a bad day for the Hammers? We've certainly seen many of them over the course of the season, but as we've been saying, I don't think there's too many that compare with this. It's been absolutely terrible. They just put a graphic up on the screen to say that West Ham haven't had a single shot in the second half. I thought we'd had one, but apparently all 3 were before the break. I thought we had 2 before the break and 1 after. But
so that 4 hours effort doesn't count, then?
Apparently not. No, it looks like they've. I thought it was a shot. I'm sure it was, but anyway, they decided otherwise. And Brighton, I think, have had 10 shots in the second half. So whatever was said, Rio, at half time by David Moyes certainly hasn't been, sunk into the skulls of his players.
No,
I think we're about to see a fourth. Let's just stick with this because Brighton are on the attack, and indeed it is 4. Oh, it's absolutely dreadful. This is now getting into Charlton sort of areas. It's Welbeck. AGXM called it, didn't she? Danny Welbeck's come on. He's been on the pitch for 12 minutes, and he's picked the ball up outside the West Ham box on the right hand side of the penalty box, driven into the box, and he's pulled out a low shot across goal from the right hand side. He's fired it into the bottom left hand corner of Alphonse Areola's goal. The Frenchman made a fantastic save a few moments ago. Couldn't do anything about this one though, and it's just too easy for Welbeck on the edge of the box. Who's his marker? Is that Downs? Yeah, Downs just not getting close enough, and the shot coming in, and it's men against boys, Rio. 4-0.
It's not even men against boys, is it? It's men against statues, because we've not worked hard enough. We've not fought hard enough. We've shown a lack of passion, a lack of commitment, a lack of desire. It's been far too easy for Brighton. It was easy in the first half. And instead of galvanising the troops half time, instilling a bit of fire, a bit of passion, a bit of work ethic into them, the opposite's happened, and we've stepped on the gas even further. This is one of the all-time poor performances from West Ham.
Yeah,
and we've seen far too many down years. It's just simply not good enough. We're a team battling relegation. We saw the grassroots of seeds of change and positivity coming last week. Today, we've been beyond woeful. We've made a reasonable but not particularly exciting Brighton side look like Brazil in 1970.
No, I mean, I asked Rio this question in the first half. You weren't here at the time, so I'll pose it to you now. Do you think this is a case of overconfidence from a West Ham team that won 4-0 last week, saw them move a couple of places up the table, perhaps arrived here today thinking that they didn't have to put in 100%?
No. I think this is... If we had overconfidence, we might have actually taken the game to them and tried to win the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Right from the very start, all we've tried to do is basically, I don't know what, we haven't tried to do anything. We've just turned up, got on the pitch, we've got the ball, we've just played it around a bit and then lost it. No, I would say overconfidence. It's just total incompetence and a lack of desire, a lack of will, and we've got some players who can be creative, but it's just not. I mean, I'm just watching it now, and it is, but yeah,
incompetence, not overconfidence.
Yeah.
The message.
Lack of competence.
Lack of competence, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got 3 minutes added on. Can tell you that we've just come up to the final minute. I posed that question a few minutes ago to some of those who'd maybe been sticking with Moyes, been giving him a little bit more rope than perhaps one or two other supporters have. And it's quite interesting to note some of the comments that are coming in on the live stream. Now, David O'Rourke saying this is easily the worst we've played this season. I've been on the fence for Moyes, but he has to go after this. This is a pathetic performance, says David O'Rourke, and so nearly 5-0, so close. Shots come in from the edge of the box yet again. It's Gross, Pascal Gross, who's had the shot this time. It's grazed the side netting. Let's have another look at this. Didn't quite see how close it was. Gross allowed to just run into the box, cuts inside, Downs, and yeah, he's put it wide. It would have beaten Areola. Was it another foot to the right? Hobo says, yes, I've been a reluctant twist since Christmas, but this has to be the end. And Andy Welsh adds, I've been on the Moyes fence, but this is utterly unacceptable. No player cares. I doubt David Moyes even cares. They all get their massive paychecks at the end of the day. Pathetic. And Steve Palmer also says that I'm in the out camp now. I don't understand what else we can do. That is the final whistle. It has finished at the Amex Stadium this afternoon. Brighton and Hove Albion 4, West Ham United 0. The goals coming in the 18th minute from McAllister from the penalty spot. Veltman adding a second 6 minutes after the restart. Mitoma making it 3-0 on 69 minutes, and then with just 2 minutes of normal time remaining, the substitute Danny Welbeck given the freedom of Brighton to pick his spot and make it 4-0 on a very disappointing afternoon for West Ham United. Rio, going to come to you first, unfortunately, for your immediate assessment. I mean, I could just see a lot of fans in the away end now waving at David Moyes, that kind of goodbye thing. So that kind of indicative of what Pinky was saying, contacting us from the stadium. Rio, Brighton 4, West Ham 0. Your initial post-match thoughts?
Oh. Sorry, just getting in position because the battery's about to go, so plug in. Simply not good enough. Not one person on that pitch today has earned their rather exorbitant salary at all. I can take losing. I can take heavy defeats. But we've had a heavy defeat against a very ordinary side, and not one of our players has stepped up to the mark, displayed any kind of iota of passion, work rate, desire. I guarantee that the fans in the stands have offered more than any single one of our players out there. None of them seem bothered, and that is the real worry to me. No, we said last week we saw seeds of change. Everything was really positive again. Wednesday night for an hour, we've more than matched one of the best sides in England. Yeah. Today, it's like watching a completely different side again. It's like watching that side which has bumbled around the Premier League all season. They're simply not good enough, simply not working hard enough, simply not tactically astute from the management. It's just simply not good enough. And I hate to say it, I think we're one of the biggest candidates for relegation in the Premier League, because every other side is capable of putting performances together, which not only we end up with results on the pitch, but at least you can see people putting a shift in. You know me, one player a day has put a shift in for us, because none of them, from my point of view, none of them at all.
Before we come to Noam for his assessment of what we've seen this afternoon, quick check round the rest of the Premier League grounds. There a couple of late goals gone in, interestingly. It's finished 1-0 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Good news for West Ham. And it's, well, it hasn't finished yet. We're in the 6th minute of added on time at Arsenal. Obviously being given enough time to see if they can get that winning goal. It's 2-2 at the moment against Bournemouth. Arsenal 28 shots to Bournemouth's 4. And 81% possession to Bournemouth's 19, but it is 2-2 there. Aston Villa also in the 6th added minute of added on time lead Crystal Palace 1-0. Palace scored an own goal, and as mentioned by the chaps here earlier, in the half down to 10 men, Brighton 4, West Ham 0, we know. Oh, and there's one more game in the Premier League, and we've had a very late goal. between Wolves and Tottenham. And we can tell you it's not good news for West Ham, really. Adama Traore scored for Wolves, and they are leading Tottenham at 1-0. Wolves 8 shots to Tottenham's 22. But there's only one goal so far, and it looks like Wolves are about. That's still being played. We're still in added on time. So
Arsenal apparently have just taken the lead.
And Arsenal have scored, have they?
97th minute.
Well. There's a surprise. So Arsenal were 2-0 down. It's actually very, very good news for West Ham on what's been a bitterly disappointing day for the Hammers. Because what it does is it means that West Ham will remain in 16th, a point clear of both Leeds and Bournemouth. If it remains that way. But no, that's not to take anything away from what was an utterly, is it humiliating? It's dreadful. It's Rio said it's what it makes us one of the biggest candidates for relegation. You've already stressed how you felt it was an incompetent performance. But just how bad was it?
I'm struggling to find words that actually the depths to which that performance plumbed. The deepest part of the northern line is somewhere near Hampstead, and this was several thousand feet below that. It's. I mean, Rio pretty much summed it up perfectly. I don't know. I've played in games. You played in games, Graham, where you turn out and you've turned out because it's just so a while away, a couple of hours before you go to the pub, and if it's a friendly or something. I mean, not so much league games, but you've got a friendly or something like that. It's a run out, and you're not going to lose too much sleep over the result, and it's like, what time are they open? And this looked like that. This looked like players who were on tour who just wanted to get out of there, and now for the important stuff, And I'm sure that's not the case, and I'm sure that none of those players there had plans for tonight and were thinking about those plans. But it didn't look like anything else. There just seemed to be no life, no. We said about flair, but it was like we were there to be the supporting cast.
Yeah,
and Rio said we're going to get beaten 4-0. At least actually show something up the other end that up the other end for it. But the Brighton keeper's probably done the Times crossword.
Yeah, didn't have a save to make, did he? Really, after those first two early chances.
Yeah. No, just simply and utterly unacceptable and appalling.
There you go. Unacceptable, appalling, incompetent. Some of the descriptions of West Ham's performance from the chaps. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that sort of thing on the KUMB.com forum match thread. I'm sure there's hundreds of Hammers fans already doing exactly that right now. What I can tell you, actually, for those of you who do keep an eye on KUMB and read the content we post there on the front page on a regular basis, you may have seen an article that we published yesterday, which reminded everyone that it's exactly 100 games since West Ham had last lost a game by more than 2 clear goals, going back nearly, I think it was over 2 years, about 2.5 years. Well, that's just been completely blown out of the water this afternoon. And it's actually West Ham's biggest defeat in all competitions since September 2019. If anyone wants to tell me what that particular game was, you're welcome. I wouldn't like to say we're a jinx, but that's blown out the window anyway. Some comments coming in on social media. Jimmy Walker, remember him? Jimmy Walker, playoff goalkeeper, represented West Ham many times, very popular figure, just taken to Twitter to say, oh dear, we are in a world of trouble. And, if the players can see it, Rio, then you can be sure that the management see it. The question is, I guess now, do the board see it and will they act?
I think they have to. My big worry is, there's been a lot of talk about possible replacements. And it does look like that if Moyes does eventually go, which I've now reached the stage where I think it's untenable. The lack of effort and the lack of work rate and the lack of desire out there, it's all got to come down to the manager. you can't get your players to perform in games of this magnitude when we're clearly in a relegation battle fighting for our survival, then, there was a lot of talk about it before Christmas. Should we pull the trigger then? There hasn't been much of a revival afterwards until last week. Talk of replacement, and Benitez seems to be the most likely candidate because he kind of fits the brief that David Sullivan wants.
He seems to have been around an awful lot lately. I mean, I noticed he was commentator or doing a bit of punditry on the Man City game as well today, Rio. So he's around in the country. He's kind of there for a reason.
Yeah, he's hanging around like a bad smell at the moment, isn't he? it's the term the vultures are circling is clearly evident here. He's not over here for the weather. He's not over here for a jolly up. He's over here to do something. And that is to become the next manager of West Ham, in my opinion. It's not particularly my choice. They're far worse out there. There's far better somewhere. But at this late stage of the season, who else are we going to get? And we're just going to be lurching from the end of the Moyes era being such a disaster into someone who's he's divisive, isn't he? Is he going to get the fans on board? I don't think he's going to get everyone. Is he going to get the players playing? You just don't know. But it seems like it's a final throw of the dice. Eventually, Sullivan gets the man he wants, but as per usual, 4 or 5 years too late.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Rio. Before we continue, come to Noam in just a second, but we're going to look at Noam's favourite stat of the week. It's the stat of the week. It's the stat of the week. It's the great big XG stat. Brighton XG today 3.56. West Ham 0.4. Only marginally better than Nottingham Forest.
Where did that come from? That 0.4 of a goal that we
no idea. I have no idea. Maybe they thought that Jarrod Bowen should have scored in the first half, but I mean,
I have no idea how to calculate that, but. It wouldn't have surprised me if it had come back with a negative figure.
Yeah, we could break all records and get a 0. Who was it? Someone in midweek had 0. I think it might have been Leicester, 0.02 or something like that, which was apparently the lowest XG stat ever recorded. We're not far off it today anyway. David Moyes, David Sullivan. Will he pull the trigger? I mean, you said you don't think he's going to do it, but how abject do West Ham's performances have to be before he considers it?
Well, if he doesn't do it after this one, then I suggest that Moyes is pretty much safe to the end of the season, because that was rock bottom performance. It really, really was, and. I say I've got no idea what's in Sullivan's mind. It's not something I'd like to inhabit, frankly. But if he's going to pull the trigger, it's going to be after that. Yeah. It's simple as that. Whether or not he does, well, let's put it this way: if he's still in charge when we're in Cyprus, then I think he can pretty much sort of plan out his rest of his season, because I can't see how that can get any worse. That performance could be any worse. Now, I know I'm tempting fate a little bit like the chap. I read the article this morning, and our chum from the north sort of made a comment on that, and I was going to jump in and say, but boy, isn't this tempting fate? And then my phone rang and I forgot to, sort of thing. But Paul Walker sort of made a comment on it, and I was going to say that this is really tempting fate, surely. But as I say, but my thoughts are right. I simply don't know. I mean, okay, you've got a fairly easy tie over in Larnaca on Thursday night.
Oh, don't say that.
Which no, I mean, if we play like that, then surely we can't play like that. But we'll have people. Skamaka will probably be out there, and we'll probably start that one.
Yeah.
And but Villa next week. Well, it's I mean,
are we back in must-win territory again, or are we there so soon after the Forest game?
at the moment, I think every game's. What is it, Villa? What's the next one after that? Villa,
Southampton,
Larnaca home.
Southampton, Newcastle, isn't it? I think.
So Southampton will be that'll be a much needed respite. But I think if we looking at it, I mean, I must win. Well, they're all must win at the moment because you can't trust the rest of the league at the moment. At the moment, we're only where we are because the rest of the league have by and large been worse than we are at that end of the table, and that performance was possibly as bad or worse than anything they've played, possibly except for Southampton. The trick is to actually sort of some sort of reaction to that and make that a one-off. And unfortunately, that was rotten for the whole game. We had bits of Tottenham, that were all right at the start. But when you start getting through games where what was the redeeming feature, and the one redeeming feature was it wasn't 5.
Yes.
You've got to wonder.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we didn't get any injuries today. That's if we're looking for crumbs of comfort.
Well, Bonner.
Zoom. Oh yeah, you're right. Actually, no, that's complete nonsense. All right, we saw Zuma back on the pitch then.
But apart from that, what Roman's ever done for that? Right.
Oh God, we can't even take it. And then there must be one positive we could take. Anyone's got a positive they can take from today's game? Let us know in the live chat, because as you can hear, we're struggling here. Rio.
Listen, at the risk of, I'm sure you're going to ask me a bitingly incisive question, which A, I probably can't be asked to ask. B, please don't ask me to give a man and a match for that one, because
well, no. I was going to ask you about Larnaca, because I thought we could wrap up here. I do actually need to dive out for about 30 seconds. So I thought what I'd do is, while I'm doing my business, I'll ask you two guys to assess our chances of winning in Cyprus. I'm not sure we're absolutely nailed on to win that now. So over to you guys for a minute or so, and I'll be back momentarily.
Do you want me to give my own man of the match?
If you had one, Rio, I mean, yeah,
the away
support. If you can think of one,
I have two candidates. I thought out of the playing staff, at least Alphonse Areola made a couple of good saves. He gave Ben Johnson one of the hardest stares after one of his many errors that I've seen in a long while. So from the playing staff, Areola is the best of the pick out of one, basically, because no one else even warrants a mention. But the actual man of the match for me is my cat, who dived on top of my laptop and tried to interrupt my stream when we was 2-0 down. Now, if she'd have succeeded, I would have not been privy to that last half hour, which was, embarrassing, and as a West Ham fan, absolutely devastating. So
even your cat couldn't do you a favour today.
Well, she tried. At least she tried. She put in more effort than anyone of those players on the pitch did, and she's getting paid a fraction of what they are.
Reminds me of my tennis racket needs restringing. Larnaca, I think will win, simply because surely, be the God, we can't be that bad again. I know that's tempting fate, but really that was sort of abyssal and abysmal. And I'm not so confident about Thursday myself. A, because of what we just witnessed. B, because Larnaca are not the mugs that everyone thinks, they come from the Cypriot League. They're not a good side. They might not have a bunch of superstars, but in the only bit of homework I have done all week, their form in both domestic competitions and Europe has been decent. It won't be a rollover. So it's going to be a bit of a tough task. Whether anything that happens behind the scenes at West Ham is going to throw a spanner in the works as well. For me, it's got the mixture of a potential one in famous West Ham nights where we either turn things on their head and come back triumph, or we produce a Blackpool 1970, was it 1970 or 71 kind of performance, and we get topped 4-0. On a difficult, bouncy pitch, rock hard pitch, Well, I'm still there. I'm willing to bet that this time you won't have a load of players out in Iron Appa. Apart from anything else, I don't think Brian London's, if he's still alive, bless him, has got a nightclub out there, but that's not really there. Listen, guys. At the risk of being a pain in the neck, or even a worse pain in the neck, before you jump in and say so, I am going to have to go because I've got to finish off getting prepared for me international trip. And
well, we are going to end it there anyway. No, I was just going to end it after that Larnaca chat, so we can cut it off. For all of us right now, I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing us bang on about West Ham this afternoon. It's probably not what everyone wants to talk about right now, given what we've just seen. But I can tell you, actually, Larnaca are playing right now. They're playing at a team called Paralimni, who are several places below them. And a win for Larnaca would put them back at the top of the Cypriot League. Apoel currently a point clear of them, although Larnaca have a game in hand, which, as I said, they're playing right now. So hopefully they'll get about 10 players injured, about 15 red cards, and yeah, that might give us a chance come Thursday night in Cyprus. To those of you that are travelling over to Cyprus, have a wonderful trip anyway. We don't do this much, but I'm going to give full credit to the club on this occasion for managing to get an extra 1,000 tickets for the fans who wanted to go. We had an allocation of around 500-600 initially. Nicola Key made a journey out to Cyprus last week and managed to procure an extra 1,000 tickets for West Ham. So that was good to see. Congratulations and credit to the club on this particular occasion for doing that. Yeah, that's about the only positive news we can bring you, unfortunately, from West Ham this afternoon. It has finished 4-0, Brighton 4, West Ham United 0 at the Amex Stadium. The Hammers absolutely dreadful, incompetent, unacceptable, appalling. Some of the descriptions our team pulled out, our mild-mannered team pulled out this afternoon, let alone what you guys are going to be saying over on the KUMB.com forum match day, which is where I'm going to in a minute just to see what's going on. We will be back on Thursday for that game, and I think we can just write this afternoon off. I'm not sure, you know, anyone's going to. It kind of reminded me a bit of one of those games in the Great Escape season, you know, when we lost to Charlton 4-0, and then was it Reading we got beat by 6-0. It's kind of got that sort of feel about it. What happens from now remains to be seen, whether we respond positively as we did that season, or carry on in a similar vein. But one thing's for sure, something's got to change, whether it means change in the manager's office or elsewhere. But we can't go on like this if we're going to stay up this year. It's been dreadful. But anyway, we can forget all about it for a week because we're off to Larnaca and Cyprus for the UEFA Conference League on Thursday night, which is when we'll be back with you, my friends. So thank you to everyone who joined us on the stream. Thank you for your comments, your contributions. As always, much appreciated. We love getting involved with you guys and seeing what you've got to say. But my big thanks to my two head honchos here, to Rio and to Noam, for their excellent company once again and for their valuable comments. We shall see you again on Thursday. Don't get too despondent. Go out tonight and, you know, enjoy yourself. It could be worse, you know, worse things happen at sea and all that. But it has been a pretty disappointing day for West Ham. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Look after yourselves. Be good.
Don't have nightmares.
And don't have nightmares. Come on, you Irons.